Oh my gosh. Stupid South Park. Alright, here we are. So today, as we get into things, we got a few things. We got some, last week I was like, oh, there's nothing going on. And so this week we do have a few things, mostly, overview trailers, but hey, I'll take it. Plus we have a good update on Gamepass. That's nice. And for WIBE, I've got a TV show, and that's about it. I mean, I'll talk about Tomodachi Life, maybe I'll talk about Kiln, but there's really not much left. Right? If last week's show was heavily skewed in one direction, this show is heavily skewed in the other. But that's okay, that happens. And then, at the end of the show, though, I do have something, because today was the qualifiers for the Marble League 2026. So, I have not watched... Okay, I watched, the first, 2 minutes, and then I was like, okay, I'll get to this later. And now is later. So, we'll do that in a little bit. Hopefully my team makes it. God, I hope my team makes it. And yeah, we'll see. Did I have any food things? No, I don't think I have any food things. Yeah, it happens. Next week we will. Next week, Wendy's has a cookie dough Frosty. God, that sounds so fucking good. You can actually go get it right now, but whatever. And we're playing Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. We're gonna beat the game today, episode 3. There is the special world and the bonus world to do as well. So maybe that'll be next week, but I think we'll be able to beat the game. I don't think it'll take us too long. So that's the plan for today. Pretty simple, straightforward. With that... hit that. Episode 3. Right back into it. It's been a while, but... I do like this game. I'm very fond of it, and I really hope we get a sequel. Last week I had the Shirley Temple, the Virgin Dirty Shirley. ice cream, or not chocolate bar. And this week to drink, I just have a Virgin Dirty Shirley. Which is just a Shirley Temple, as far as I'm aware, with extra cherries. You know, the right way. So that's what I got to drink this week. It's pretty good. I use the Sprite base. I know other people will be like, oh, do 7-Up, do X, Y, or Z. Nah, I'm fine with Sprite. Goodbye, Wingo. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker 3. If only. If only, man. I would love that. It's a good game. It's super underrated, and I hope it gets a sequel, like, soon. I don't know, Tomodachi Life was in development for like 9 years, so Nintendo likes to hold their games. No, there was actually, I didn't put it in the news or anything, but there was a story. I didn't actually read it, I just saw the headline, but it wouldn't surprise me at all. Is that, I guess Nintendo allegedly finished development on Tomodachi Life a year ago, and has just been holding on to the game, you know, waiting for the right time because of the Switch release. The Switch 2? I firmly believe that. That's when, you know, same thing with Donkey Kong Bonanza. Donkey Kong Bonanza was done about a year before its release, and Nintendo held on to it because of the Switch 2 release, and that gave them time to do the DLC. So yeah, that does not surprise me. Alright, so, like I said, for gaming news, we got 2 overview trailers. We got Splatoon Raiders, finally, for the first time in over a year, got an update. We got to see, you know, some gameplay and everything, so we'll talk about that. We also got an overview trailer for Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, as well as people did get to preview Yoshi and the Mysterious Book as well. So people have played it, and we'll talk about all of that. At least, I'll talk about what I heard, you know, without citing anyone specific. And then finally, we got Xbox Game Pass, because, you know, we had the big update on Xbox Game Pass with its price changes. We're going to talk about it, and some of the speculation. And then I've talked in the past on this show about how, like, I have, you know, over at my big inspiration, Kinda Funny, they do a thing called Wii News, which is just like the wee little news stories that really aren't big enough to be like their own thing, but you still kind of want to talk about it. And for the past few weeks, I've been like, I should just do a Wii News segment. Stories that just take a few seconds, and, you know, you wrap it all up in a little nice, you know, bite-sized bow. So I did add a segment. I called it Byte-Sized Stories, because you gotta have a good name. I firmly believe you gotta have a good name. So we have one, Byte-Sized Stories. I just got 2 things in it, but we'll do it because we haven't done it before, and I think that'd be interesting. Alright, let's talk about Splatoon Raiders. So, our first trailer for Splatoon Raiders came out on Monday or Tuesday, and it's funny, because, like, I want to say it came out on Tuesday, because the day before, on Monday, I was talking with someone about how, like, oh, isn't it wild that we still don't have any information on Splatoon Raiders? That game was revealed, like, a year ago, and we know nothing. And then the next morning, it's like, oh, yep, there's all the information about Splatoon Raiders. So, of course, the thing we previously knew about this was that this is a single-player-focused game where you and the members of Deep Cut go to explore... I have it in my notes as the Spiralite Isles. That may not be correct, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. It's close enough to correct. And, you know, you go out there, you play as a mechanic, and so the trailer picks up from that, and so we start off with the mechanic. Of course, the mechanic can be an Inkling or an Octoling. You can be a male or female. Can I be honest? I don't see the difference. like, I know there is probably some sort of difference between a male and a female, like design-wise. Voice-wise, yes, because it does look like your character, you can change how your character sounds in this game, so that'll also be a thing. But just purely design-wise, I don't see a difference between the male and the female. Whether, you know, Nintendo has been very good when it comes to gender inclusion. And so if it's intentional that, yes, the male and female mechanic isn't that different, I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, it's just funny seeing like two of the exact same characters next to each other and being like, okay, I'm pretty sure that's what they're going for, because they don't actually say. From there, you know, you pick your Inkling or Octoling, you then get a choice of haircuts. There are 6 haircuts you can choose from, and from what I can tell, they're all brand new haircuts. You know, this isn't like the previous 2 games, where it's just like, okay, well, here's the haircuts from the previous game, plus we've added some new ones. No, all the haircuts are brand new, more or less. I have seen some people complain that we can't use, like, the messy haircut, the one that we have before Frey gives us the trim. I could see that being like a post-game reward or something like that. Splatoon would do stuff like that. But overall, I do like some of these haircuts we see. There's 6 for the Octoling, 6 for the Inklings. You know, the Inkling, there's like one that's like short hair with a net in it. There's one that has like a bunch of just guff in it, a bunch of trash. There's the fork in the hair. There in the Octolings, there's Afro Puffs with like, they look like mason jars, like short mason jars. I'm sure they have an actual name. Either way, that's cool. I really do like a lot of these designs. There's a bird net, like a little bird nest with a bird in it, a rubber ducky. That's cute as well. So overall, I do like some of these designs. I think these are top-notch designs. And yeah, I'm all for it. You look good, Splatoon. From there, we find out, you know, we're exploring the Spiralite Isles. We have our base of operations, which is a ship called it's called the Hideout Ship. At least I think that's what they call it. And yeah, it just seems to be this basic, you know, it's a ship made out of junk. Everything seems to be based around junk. You know, as far as I know, we're in the Pacific Garbage Patch. What does it remind? The Hideout Ship, on one hand, it reminds me of Gramps from Xenoblade Chronicles 2. You know, like when he starts off as like the Titan or whatever, and you're like living on his back. On one hand, it reminds me of that. On the other hand, it reminds me of the game Raft. If you've ever played the game Raft, you know what I'm talking about. It's a fine game, Raft. I've played it. So after that, they eventually go to the Spiralite Isles. We see some of the weapons. So it's the traditional Splatoon weapons you're used to, but they all have like new designs because you, as the mechanic, are clearly just putting everything together from trash that you're scavenging, you know, just like in Raft. So you've got like a splatter shot that's half splatter shot and half just random guff. You've got a bucket that's being held together with string. You've got an octo brush that kind of looks like it's made out of like bone or something. And then the other, the Splatling was the other weapon I noticed. I'm sure there were other weapons in the trailer, but from like traditional Splatoon, those are the 4 I noticed. And yeah, they all look fine. It's clearly, you know, just the design we're used to, but just meant to look a little messier. On the Spiralite Isles, once you get sent out, you're sent out with a mech suit. Like, there's a shot of Big Man being shot out while, like, you know, picked up by, like, a crane and spun out. I'm pretty sure that's just how, like, the game, you know, whenever you go out on an expedition, it's gonna do that, which is fine. We see that mech suit that we saw in the previous trailer actually has deep cut in it. You have the choice of taking one of the deep cut members with you. Could be Frey, could be Shiver, could be Big Man. And that changes their special ability. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But I like that it is driven. I love that they're giving the idols more to do. Because that was, in the original Splatoon, yeah, Pearl and Marina, or not Pearl and Marina. Callie and Marie, you know, they're there, they talk, but they don't really do that much. In Splatoon 2, Pearl and Marina don't do nothing in the story. But then in the Octo expansion, they chip time in a lot, and then they help out in the climax of the story. So that really helped endear me to them. And then Frey, Shiver, and Big Man are the antagonists of Splatoon 3. At least the minor antagonists. And that was also very nice. But seeing, and then of course Side Order is another thing. But now seeing, kind of like how Pearl was the Pearl drone in the Side Order, Frey, Shiver, and Big Man being the mech pilot, you know, that's charming. I do like that. So yes, I'm very excited for all this. Also, the new designs are so good. Someone pointed out, and I fully agree with this, the problem with Fry wasn't her forehead. Her big-ass forehead clearly wasn't the problem with her design. It was her outfit. And now that she's, or maybe even just her hairstyle. And now that she's got a new outfit and hairstyle, oh my god, she looks amazing. And I think Shiver and Big Man also look great. I mean, Big Man you don't have to do much with. He already looks fantastic. You know, no matter what you put him in. But yeah, I like Frey. Again, I warmed up on her. But this new design is fantastic. From there, we find out the villains are the Salmonids. I know there were some people, kind of myself included, who was kind of hoping we get a new Splatoon antagonist. Because for as much as I like the series, I'm kind of over the Octarians. You know, we've spent 3 games with the Octarians. Octolings have, you know, been playable for a full game and a half now. I never want to see the Octarians show up as an antagonist again. And I think the game's going to live up to that promise based on how the main campaign of 3 ended. Like with, you know, DJ Octavio coming in to help you. I don't think the Octarians are going to be a threat again. But now we got the Salmonids. And so clearly this mode, from what I can tell, is basically just a what if we took a Salmon Run and made it a single-player story campaign. Which is not an inherently bad idea. I don't hate that in theory. The thing is just like how much is it, you know, how interesting is it going to be? Because if it is, you know, if it is well developed and everything, I don't think that's going to be a problem. But if it's not, then if it's literally just, you know, Salmon Run Next Wave again, then I am a little worried. I do have some hope that, you know, the fact that they're balancing it around a single-player campaign gives me a little bit more hope that, you know, things like in the original Salmon Run, where you're stuck fighting, you know, oh, hey, you gotta fight Kohozuna, but hey, guess what? You're not even gonna get through, like, half of his health. Yeah, hopefully that won't be an issue. Just because the game is, in theory, better balanced. But no, I don't hate the idea of single-player Salmon Run. It's just, do they have to do it right? And my hope is that now that we have this, when Splatoon 4 inevitably comes around, because it will in a few years, will that not have Salmon Run and do something different? Or are they just going to do more Salmon? Because here's the thing, I'm not against more Salmon Run, but I also would love to see something different. I know the battle royales being on top of the world is no longer true, but I still think that has potential. And I still feel like a lot of things they've done in Side Order were clearly setting something up. Of course, there's also the rumor that this whole Splatoon Raiders started off as DLC for Splatoon 3, because there is cut content in Splatoon 3 that seems like it's in Raiders. Specifically, someone said that in Splatoon Raiders, or in Splatoon 3, in Salmon Run, there's code for an enemy that uses toxic mist as a weapon. And what do we have? A new bat-like enemy that uses toxic mist as a weapon. So, I'm just saying, anything's possible here. So, of course, with the salmon runs, they are back, but they look different. They've now got red, they're now red colored, they now got sharper beaks. If you don't know anything about the life cycle of a salmon, I recommend you look it up, because these new salmonid designs are very clearly based off of the life cycle of a salmon. That, you know, the normal salmonids we see in the previous 2 games are just normal adult salmons, whereas the ones in this game are adult spawning salmon. So that means it's salmon that are about to reproduce. You know, so potentially this could tell us that the story of this game is that we're going to the place where salmonids originally come from. Like, this is their home territory that we're invading, which I do think would make a lot of sense. And that, you know, the salmonids have come to the Spiral Isles because this is where they reproduce. This is where they lay their eggs. That, you know, we see them holding eggs in all the previous games, but this feels more implicit. Of course, all the sizes of salmon run from the previous game are back. The small fries, the big ends, the normal ones, as well as we do have new ones. There's specifically a shot where there's a salmonid that has like a sprinkler on top of it, which if you've played like Side Order, it's kind of like those sprinkler enemies. I don't think there's an Octarian sprinkler. There might be, but there is a sprinkler salmonid, so that could be a pain in the ass. Of course, there are also these little, like, manhole things that the salmonids clearly spawn out of, so that way if there's going to be, like, a wave sort of gameplay, or however they're doing it, that's you know, you've got spawn points. And then I did see a thing, I watched ProChar's video on it, and he talked about how the idea that maybe as you play through the game, the salmonids get stronger. Because at one point he points out a, what's it called? Not the stringer. No, maybe it is the stinger. The enemy, the stinger. At one point you see a stinger in the trailer, and it's been, like, calcified, but it's also, like, so tall that it goes off screen. Which is not how a normal stinger works. So I like the idea that as you go through the game, you know, you'll have, like, normal salmonids, which are the red ones, and then you'll have, like, you know, extra strong salmonids that have been calcified and, you know, have, like, all these, like, crystals on them. I think that is totally within the realm of possibility, just to keep things more interesting. Of course, right, with that, the boss salmonids are back. All the ones you know from the previous games are still there. You know, the grillers, the salmon lids, the stingers, the bomb one, whose name I don't remember. I don't think everything has been confirmed, but, you know, they're probably all there. Plus, we have some new ones. We have a flying salmonid, where it's like a salmonid that has, like, bat wings, which is wild. And like I said earlier, it uses toxic mist as a weapon, which is interesting. So that's one. Another one is called Salty Tongue. We found this out through Twitter. And Salty Tongue is like the big fat one, and it kind of like lunges at you. So it's probably like, it's a very tanky salmonid, and if you get too close, it'll like lunge at you and like hit and like snap at you. But we at least know about those two new ones. They mentioned specifically in the description on Twitter that Salty Tongue drops a kind of egg-like object, and we see what looks like a multi-egg. Why it looks like this, I have no idea. Like, clearly, it doesn't look like we're doing golden eggs, like, you know, normal salmon run. Instead, we just have these really big eggs. There might also be something else as well. I wouldn't be surprised. And then, of course, there's new treasures. So, it looks like, right, different islands will have different treasures. That we see this, like, island map, and as it goes through, there are the different isles. And they have, like, these chests on them. And presumably, you know, once you beat it, you get the chest, which gives you a treasure. Now, does this mean that the game is a roguelike, like Side Order? And the honest answer is I have no idea. I have no idea if this is a roguelite or not. I've seen some people say that, yes, it is a roguelite. So, and you know, I can see the evidence of like, oh, you know, you're doing a campaign where you're island hopping towards the final boss. You collect these, you know, eggs, and you get these relics that give you permanent upgrades, and you just choose your loadout before you go jumping back in. I can see that. If they want to do, you know, another roguelite Splatoon game, I would be perfectly down for that. I really liked Side Order. I more or less 100%ed it. More or less. There were a few like little things I was missing. But yeah, if we're getting more roguelike stuff, I think that would be great. The question is it randomly generated? So far, I feel like nothing we've seen really says that, yes, you know, this is a randomly generated game. It might be, you know, I'm not ruling that out. But so far, I really haven't seen anything that's, like, definitive, oh, this is randomly generated. So we'll just kind of have to wait and see on that front. The other suggestion is in Prochar's video. I guess their editor, Cookie, suggested that it's going to be like Monster Hunter, where you go into the levels, you do raids, you fight bosses, and then after you fight the bosses, you upgrade your gear. And yeah, I think that makes sense. If that's how they're going to do things, I think that'd be interesting. I've never really played a Monster Hunter game, but Monster Hunter Splatoon is not a terrible idea by any stretch of the imagination. Of course, we do see in the map screen that shows like the map of the different areas, it does say dungeon menu. So that does ask the obvious question, like, you know, if that does make me think more roguelike, but are there going to be like dungeons in this game? And I can see that. I think that is totally possible.
Here I go.
It looks like as you explore, you'll unlock new weapons. Right, at one point we see the mechanic defeat some enemies or something, and then there's just the Octobrush there, like on the ground. So maybe as you go through, you unlock more stuff. You, of course, are collecting treasures, and those treasures unlock new special abilities. So, like, they pick up a statue. It's like the two-fisted salmon head. And it gives the player character the ability to double jump, or jump in midair. Which, yeah, so that's how you would, like, customize and change your run, is based on which statues you collect. That gives you different, like, statue abilities. Okay. I think that is a logical solution to things. We also see that there is a collectible that you'll have to get, that there are these spiralite shards, which are, like, these bright blue pillars, and as you get to them, your robot, the mech, will like go and mine the spiralite, and from that you as the player are able to, you know, you get that resource that you can then use at the mechanic shack. So there's a mechanic shack where you can, you know, help work on the hideout ship construction, but more importantly, you can develop gadgets. So there are different types of gadgets, and in order to make gadgets, you need gadget parts and spiralite shards. Right, spiralite is presumably gotten at certain locations while playing through the story, and then gadget parts are gotten through defeating enemies. So, like, to make the Splatchet, they need griller pieces. It needs, like, you know, it needs, like, 500 spiralite, and then some griller pieces. So, that makes sense, you know, there'll be collectibles along the way. The weapons we see the Splatchet. It's Splat and Hatchet. That's a good name, you know. It's basically, you know, our tomahawk chop, that's our death blow. We see it reminds me of like a beacon, but it's like some sort of remote control. And when you use it, it makes like a group of enemies like swarm around you in a circle. If you ever played Vampire Survivors, it reminds me of the Bible from Vampire Survivors. So that's, I think, another decent comparison there. And then we see a turret. So there's like a little turret that's like in a pot, and you throw the turret out of the pot, and it'll just shoot at enemies. And it specifically, we see it fight one of the Mega Head guys, and it specifically shoots at his weak spot, which is nice. You know what a lot of the weapons remind me of in this game, in Splatoon Raiders? They remind me of the 2x4 technology from Codename Kids Next Door. right, where they would just use a bunch of like scrap to make technology. It kind of reminds me of that, which I think is a great design aesthetic. But yeah, that turret especially looks like that. Yeah, those are just the weapons we see. We, of course, do see the menu screen. There's a weapon, so you can pick your weapon, and the one thing is, next to the weapon, it shows like a level, so maybe either different weapons will have different levels, and like you upgrade them as you use them, or you unlock new weapons at new levels. I think either one of those is possible. We see the gadget screen, that you can, at least where we see it, you can have 2 gadgets. I think, it reminds me of like Astroneer, where you have like the 2 shoulder pads. I think it is totally within the realm of possibility that there are going to be more gadget slots, and that potentially you'll be able to have more. I think it's more interesting if they limit you to only 2, but knowing how these games work, I would not be surprised if they only limited you to 2. Of course, with gadgets, you can upgrade them. You can use gadget parts and Spiralite, and you get upgrades. And how the upgrade works is basically you've got a bar, and each upgrade component uses up like so many slots on the bar. So if you want to be like, oh, well, you know, the Splatchet has 16 bars, and I want to make it, you know, reload faster, I want to make the movement speed faster, and I want to do the vertical slash. Each of those costs so many segments. So, like, the moving faster costs 4, the increased movement speed costs 2, and then the vertical slash costs 8. So basically, as you upgrade them, you have to, like, keep in mind that you can only do, like, so many upgrades at once. I know there are other games who have done stuff like this. I can't think of... The only one I can think of is Saros, the game that comes out next week. Kind of has like a system like that where you can like choose to get buffs, but you also can't get like too many, like there's a limit. I know there are other examples, I just can't think of them. There's relic power. So there are 5 different slots for relic power. The only one we actually see in the trailer is the mid-air jump. We see some icons for another one, like a swirly icon. But what the actual relic powers are, we don't know. Clearly there's some, you know, they're like buffs in any other roguelite. They'll help you out. Clear you can have 5 of them, but you start off with 1, and then as you play through the game, you'll unlock more. That makes sense. We see ink tank, so potentially you'll be able to either upgrade your ink tank, or maybe there'll be like different ink tanks. And that's what I'm saying, like with the fact that you might be able to have more than 2 gadgets, you might potentially be able to get a different ink tank that has, you know, 4 gadgets. Or maybe there'll be an ink tank that has more ink, but it comes at the cost of having 1 less gadget. I could see them doing stuff like that. Because, you know, it's kind of like how, you know, games like Binding of Isaac or Gungeon, they have different characters for different playstyles. And a way to do that, potentially, would just be to give the characters different weapons. There's Bot Buddy, which is, you know, who's going to be riding your robot, Fry, Shiver, or Big Man. And finally, just Style, which is how your character looks. That also is the one that shows the amiibo icon, so presumably you'll be able to use the amiibo to get different styles. I think that makes sense, you know, it's purely cosmetic, and while I know I've rallied against it's just cosmetic before, hopefully there'll be some stuff you can unlock in the game as well. I'd be kind of disappointing if there wasn't. Speaking of the bot buddies, they have the showstopper abilities. So these are special abilities unique to the characters. So we see Big Man's ability is you ride on his back as he gets like a bunch of little stingrays that follow you around. That's a cute one. We see Shivers, and it has Master Mega, the Megalodon, show up. And he basically works like the killer whale from the first Splatoon game. And then we don't see Phrase, but they did talk about it in a tweet. Like, they showed, like, a picture of it, and it looks like it'll spawn, like, a bunch of eels. I could see the eels work like the homing missiles. I could see it be something like that. We just, you know, we just don't know at the moment with Frey. But either way, I think all the abilities look fun and interesting. It does make me wonder, are there going to be more characters? Because I think it would make the most sense if it was only Frey, Shiver, and Big Man. You know, that's kind of how the story's set up. You know, Pearl and Marina are off doing their own adventure. The other two are off doing their thing, Callie and Marie. But also, Side Order did find a way to give everyone at least some representation. And so while, you know, I'm not for it, I'm also not against it. Like, you know, Marie became the boss of Deep Cut at the end of Splatoon 3 story mode. And so if Marie showed up, I wouldn't be too upset. I know some people would be. But if they just keep it without it, that's fine. And the final thing in the trailer before they get to the, you know, the release date and whatnot, is they show off this bat salmonid, who looks like the other bat salmonid, but it looks bigger, and it's got, like, these crystals growing out of its back. If I had to guess, this is a new type of king salmonid. So in the normal Splatoon, in Splatoon 3, the Salmon Run mode, there are these king salmonid, which are basically like bosses. So you have Kohozuna, you've got, I think it's like Ouroboros or something like that. And then I think the last one's just named John. The Megalodontis is... I think the Megalodontis is just named John. Megalodontis. Splatoon. I misspelled Splatoon. It's not Megalodontis, it's Megalodontia. It's got a, yeah, it's a king salmonid. I swear it's got a dumb name, like John or something like that. I don't know, I've only ever fought the fucker like once or twice. Huh. Okay, yeah, I'm not finding anything. Jaw. Again, I think it's just Jaw. I don't know. Whatever, side tangent. I think this boss, this bat thing, is a new type of enemy. Is, you know, a new type of king salmonid. Which would make sense. I do think that's an obvious thing. And so, of course, what is the release date? So Nate the Hate, prominent leaker that he is, had previously said it was coming out this summer. And so, of course, we come in, and yep, summer, July 23rd. Which, you know, that's still a reasonable time period. I'm happy with that release date. It does surprise me that it's also in July, because I don't know if you've been reading up on things, but Rhythm Heaven also has a July release date, July 2nd. And currently, Nintendo's got nothing scheduled for June. So I'm going to make the pretty safe prediction that one of these two games, either Rhythm Heaven or Splatoon Raiders, was originally supposed to come out in June, but they had to push it an extra month. And so that's, you know, maybe it was Splatoon, and they just pushed it to, you know, a month later. Either that, or it was, you know, Rhythm Heaven, and they just couldn't get it out a week earlier. I don't know, it's just weird that Nintendo's probably not going to have anything in June, but 2 games in July does make sense. I'm not really complaining, I'm just pointing out the pattern. And then, Nintendo had previously said that in the future, there was going to be a discrepancy between physical and digital games. That digital games were going to be $10 cheaper on Switch 2. And so now we do know that the digital edition of Splatoon Raiders is $50. The physical edition is $60. Of course, I did see a thing, I think it was Walmart or one of those places, put up Splatoon Raiders at $50 for the physical, so there might still be places where you can get it for cheaper. I say all of that to point out that, you know, even with Nintendo increased the price of games to $70 last year. You know, that's by the time Splatoon Raiders will have been out, that'll have been the norm for over a year. And yet, that tells you that, you know, Splatoon Raiders is at least a little bit more of a budget game. At least a little bit more. You know, like Rhythm Heaven. With Rhythm Heaven's only $40. I do also, because of the eShop postings and whatnot, we do know the game's size. It's 20 gigabytes. Just for comparison, Mario Kart World is, I want to say, only like, is also 20 gigabytes. Donkey Kong Bonanza is only, I think, 8. Smash Bros is, I think, 17. I don't know how many gigs Splatoon 3 is. Let me see if I can find out real quick. Splatoon 3. How many gigabytes is Splatoon 3? Why is Nintendo's website not the first one that pops up? Because I know Nintendo just lists things on websites. But yeah, 20 gigabytes is way bigger than I was expecting. Splatoon 3 is only 9.9 gigabytes. And this SAM is 20. This game might be bigger than we think it is. Potentially. You know, maybe they just didn't compress this one as much. But this potentially might... Because Nintendo is one of the only companies that compresses their game file sizes. Most others don't, which is how you get Call of Duty at like 200 gigs. But no, Splatoon might actually be compressed. It might, you know, it might be compressed and it's still 20 gigs, which is fucking huge. Oh gosh. Oh, hey, look at that. Right where I wanted to see it. Either way, that's really interesting. At least I think it is. And then our final two things, well, three things. So after they revealed the price and release date, we get the Deep Cut amiibo. You know, Splatoon loves their amiibo. And so we're getting new amiibos for Frey, Shiver, and Big Man using their Deep Cut outfits. Not only that, though, they're all, like, standing on planks of wood. And they like, hook up together. So basically, if you want to display, like, all three together, it's actually very easy to display all three of these amiibo together. Like, they're designed to do so. Which is nice. And, of course, they're probably going to give, like, a costume in the game. I don't know. Nintendo has made the shift of, like, yes, amiibos do stuff in games, but they don't really. At the end of the day, they're just a budget figure. You know, the only difference between an amiibo and a Funko Pop is that amiibos look better. And yes, they have gotten more expensive, and that does suck. But to be fair, as they got more expensive, the quality did go up as well. You know, these aren't Funko Pops where they all look exactly the fucking same, and they're just ugly as sin. And then, of course, over on so after the trailer came out, over on Twitter, we found out that even though this game is a single-player experience, it will have multiplayer. You know, previous Splatoon games have not had multiplayer campaigns. This one will. So you'll be able to play with up to 4 people, online or local play, and the game balances itself based on the amount of players. So it's kind of like Salmon Run. You know, the more players you have, the harder it gets, which makes sense. Again, could this be a Monster Hunter thing? Could this be a roguelite thing? It feels like there's evidence going in both directions. I'm just surprised they only put, like, we only found out about this on Twitter. Like, they didn't show this in the trailer of, like, 4 mechanics getting together. I do wonder how the robot works, if, like, any player could call the robot, or only the one hosting the game can. We don't know at the moment. Oh shit, oh shit. Gosh dang it. And then the final thing I wanted to mention real quick is, so someone on Twitter, specifically the user at Splalog, S-P-L-A log, on Twitter, posted the theory, and I'm just going to read the tweet. The reason the protagonist of Splatoon Raiders is a mechanic, quote-unquote, who is skilled at handling mechs, it turns out it's because of the Tool faction, which won the Deserted Island Splatfest. Or at least that's their theory. And you know what? I really like that theory. Because Splatoon likes to reference its Splatfests all the time. You know, Splatoon 2 story mode was determined by who won the first Splatfest. Splatoon 3, you know, post-apocalypse theming was determined by that one. Side Order, you know, its futuristic aesthetic. And of course, there's small things as well. For example, in Splatoon 2, Marie will refer to how she doesn't like pineapple on pizza because they did a pineapple on pizza Splatfest. And I want to say it was her team that won. You know, she was team no pineapple. And so if in this new one, you know, we're living on this deserted island, on this hideout ship, and, you know, Frey makes mention that, oh, well, she, you know, would bring food to the island. Shiver makes mention that, you know, she's the one with the tools. And Big Man talks about how, oh, don't worry, he's brought the video games. I would not at all be surprised if that gets mentioned. Because, yeah, that is interesting. The fact that the first Splatfest was all about living on a deserted island makes you think that did they have the idea for this game all the way back then? And I think it is 100% possible that they did. So yeah, that was just an interesting theory I saw on Twitter, and yeah, props where it's due. I like it. I do like it. I don't know how far it goes, but yeah, it's a fun theory that has, you know, relevance in the Splatoon community. At least a little bit. Oh my gosh. Alright, so our next story is for Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. So, we gotta know, oh, Yoshi and the Mysterious Book comes out in about a month, more or less. And so we got a new thing on Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. We got an overview trailer, and people also previewed the game. Now, I recommend you go read some of those previews, but I'll say overall, the previews for the new Yoshi game have actually been very positive. Like, so far, people have liked the game. The big thing that I've seen takeaways from it is that Yoshi and the Mysterious Book is not a traditional Yoshi game. You know, it's not Yoshi's New Island, it's not Yoshi's Woolly World or Crafted World. It's not like those Yoshi games. Instead, this feels like something entirely new from Nintendo. Like, yeah, it's still got all the Yoshi elements, but it feels like it's a different genre. It's more of a puzzle exploration game. I don't want to say it's like a point-and-click adventure game, but that's probably not too far off. It's clearly going for something with those vibes. And honestly, I don't hate that. I'm down for them trying something new with Yoshi. Of course, you know, it looks like it's, you know, a baby game. Oh, you can't die in the game, as we found out from the previews. I don't think that's that big of a deal. Especially if it is a puzzle game. Like, honestly, how often do you die in puzzle games? I mean, okay, yes, there are exceptions. You know, I think of stuff like Braid, or Fez, or... what was my third example? I had a third example, don't worry about it. So in the overview trailer, we get introduced to Mr. E, who is the talking book. And even though, you know, he's got his pages, he's lost, like, his memories. So he knows the broad, but not the specifics. So as Yoshi, you're jumping into the book to do like research to fill in all the blank bits of the pages. And so as Yoshi, you know, it works with all the standard Yoshi affairs. You can use your tongue to suck up enemies, make eggs, throw the eggs, you can flutter jump, you can ground pound, and then there's a new action which is the tail flick, which if you tail flick next to an enemy, you'll put the enemy up on your back. So it basically will ride you. And you use that with puzzle solving, because the main plot of the game is that as Yoshi, you're trying to research these creatures and learn how they interact. You know, how they interact with you, the player, as Yoshi. So like we see like, oh, Yoshi can turn them into eggs. And then after eating the eggs, he can throw them. And that does that makes the enemy dizzy. Of course, we get to see how the items interact with other objects. So like maybe if, you know, the flower enemy goes up to like a grass enemy, it'll cause flowers to show up on the grass enemy or something along those lines. You know, everything has interactions. And finally, there's interactions with the world. So it's like, as the world itself, the flower enemy may cause flowers to bloom. Or it may cause, like, big flowers to show up. You know, it has basically, you're just doing research. You're solving these little puzzles by doing research, and then based on those puzzles is how you get solutions to your problems. And I'm fucking cornered. And so at every level, you know, you'll go in, you'll research the enemies, how they interact, and then at the end of every level, there's the big discovery, which is like this big thing that, you know, is meant to be more flashy, more showy, and that signifies the end of the level. After you make the big discovery, presumably for doing research, you get like tokens or something like that. And then after you've discovered a new creature and you've researched it, you'll get to name it. So you can either, you know, the game will give you an in-game name, or you can make one up. So, you know, like the first enemy you see is like the Daisy. And it's it's not the Amazy Daisy. I don't remember what the Daisy, it's called like the Dizzy Daisy. But, of course, that's just the game's recommended name. If you want to call it, you know, I don't know, Dickless Daisy or whatever, you can also willingly do that. There's probably going to be some sort of filter. I don't know, Tomodachi. You never know with Tomodachi Life. But yeah, it lets you you know, there's the official Nintendo names. And then there are new names. And that includes, we know from the previews, even stuff like Shy Guy. Like, Shy Guy has been around in Mario. Yes, he wasn't originally a Mario enemy, but he's been a Mario enemy for, what, like 30-something years, 38 years, and you can even rename Shy Guy. So if you want to call Shy Guy, you know, Mask Boy, or something actually inappropriate, you can totally do that. Which, that's cute. Of course, you know, you play through the levels, you unlock more levels, there are different worlds, you know, they call them chapters, and it looks like the chapters have different levels that are based on different creatures. So there's like a mountainous chapter, a seaside chapter, a valley chapter. I bet there's like a snow chapter. And then there's tons of different creatures. There's this like musical note guy. There's a swarm of bees. There's a fluffy multiplier guy who is like the fucking weed from So Glad You're Here, or whatever that game was called. There's the bubble frog that makes little bubbles. And of course, if you're struggling to like find creatures or do research, you can pay tokens and it'll like give you a hint. So I'm assuming some stuff is going to be hidden. Maybe not everything, obviously, but at least there's going to be like some secrets and some hidden things. So that way, you know, to make it harder for you to fully discover everything. Which, that's okay. We also know that the plot, at least in some ways, is going to have Bowser Jr. in it. That Bowser Jr. and Kamek are inside the book, and they're looking for something, as the trailer puts it. I don't know, you get to see Bowser Jr. on like this little Bowser Jr. ship, and it looks very cute. You get to see a ship made of clouds. I don't know, yes, it does look like a kid's game. but it looks kind of cute. I don't know, I am tentatively interested. The fact that the game itself is, you know, $10 cheaper digitally does actually give me a little bit more incentive. Not much, but at least a little bit more. Oh, the talking flower just went to sleep. It's snoring. I actually am surprised it hasn't said anything for the past half hour. Or for the past hour we've been doing that. That really surprises me. And of course, this new game, you know, it is a modern Nintendo game. So it does support all the Yoshi amiibos. You know, the Smash Bros, the Mario, the Yarn Yoshis, the Poochies, and then Bowser Jr., because sure, why not? And what do the amiibos do? They give you like fortunes, which is basically just tokens. So if you need like some tokens to help you get hints, using amiibos are like a quick way to do that. I don't know. This isn't, you know, if you listen to the Nintendo grifters, they will tell you that Nintendo's currently in a lot of trouble because they've released 7 games that have 7 out of 10 on Metacritic. And while 7 out of 10 is a perfectly fine and respectable score, you know, grifters will act like it's the end of the world. And sure, that doesn't discount stuff like Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza and Pokopia that all have, you know, Pokopia is currently the best reviewed game of the year. Like, literally the only thing that could even get close to it, Saros, still did not score as well as Pokopia. I think Saros is sitting at a 90 and Pokopia is at a 91 on OpenCritic. Again, scores don't matter, but guess what? The Switch is doing well. Despite what anybody would say, the Switch 2 is actually doing really well. And don't let the grifters tell you any differently. Because they're grifters. That's their job. They want you to click on their thing, so that way you'll give them money. Okay, Pokopia currently has a 90 on OpenCritic. Saros has a 89. Resident Evil Requiem has an 89. And Mugenics has an 89. Wow. The idea of a Pokemon game being the highest reviewed game of the year so far. Again, I don't expect that to stick. But so far, it's kind of wild. And, like, I can't think of anything coming out before, like, June that will... like, Pokopia will be the highest reviewed game for, like, the first half of the year. Probably. I don't know. An indie game could come out of anywheres and do good. But yeah, so far, I don't know. I don't think I'll pick up Yoshi. Kind of like Princess Peach Showtime. It's one of those games that I know some people will have fun with. It's a kid's game. I know, you know, it's funny. We just talked about the Mario movie. And how, like, oh, kids, you know, kids' content needs to be held to a higher standard. Kids are more deserving of better quality stuff. Meanwhile, you know, the Mario movie's low common denominator. Games like Princess Peach Showtime and Yoshi also kind of seemingly are a lower common denominator. But that doesn't mean they're bad. Because most Nintendo games are good at appealing to everybody. This just, you know, it's aiming younger, but that's okay. Not every Nintendo game needs to be for everyone. You know, it's okay if the company that gets accused of making baby games actually makes a baby game every now and then. That's fine. I prefer they keep making games that appeal to everybody. So, you know, a baby could play it and have a good time, but an adult could play it and also have a good time. But it's like, oh wow, I'm not going to play a new Yoshi game, wow. It's not like I haven't played one since Yoshi's Woolly World on the Wii U. Because I never played Crafted World. And before Crafted... I've actually never played the original Yoshi's Island. Or at least I've never beaten it. I'll tell you that much. Maybe we'll do that at some point. I should. I should. Yeah, Yoshi, it looks like a kid's game, but that's not like the end of the world. Oh, what the fuck was that? Whatever. Alright, let's talk about Xbox, shall we? So, Xbox Game Pass has, you know, last year they went up in price. And at the time, you know, I'm pretty sure we talked about it. And it was like, yeah, you know, Xbox Game Pass was the best deal in gaming. And now I don't know if I could say that anymore. Well, when, you know, Phil Spencer stepped down and Asha Sharma stepped up as the new head of Xbox, it was like, okay, changes are coming. And now, less than like a month later, here we are seeing the changes. And yeah, the big change is that Game Pass Ultimate has become too expensive for too many players. Her words. So starting today, we're dropping the price of Game Pass from $29.99 to $22.99 a month. So it's basically going down $7. And you know what? That's not bad. I have seen several people say that it's not enough. That if Game Pass really wants to be successful, they need to get it down to 20. You know, which was the pre-price. Because, you know, it went up from 20 to 30. So now they need to get it back down to 20. And yes, I would prefer that, obviously. But 23 is better than 30. Just straight up is. Now, admittedly, I had Game Pass a few years ago. Back, probably during COVID, I think I had Game Pass. And I had like a year of it. It was good, you know, it was a good service. I played a lot of good indie games on it. And a few first-party things, but I eventually dropped Game Pass and I haven't gone back. So it's a question of like, hey, will this new Game Pass price get me to go back? And my answer is no. I just don't think there's enough here. Even though there are some Xbox games I do want to play. I have not played the new Doom game. Or, yeah, the new Doom the Dark Ages. I have not played that game. I have not played, the Indiana Jones game. There are other Xbox games I want to play. I bought Kiln, but I actually paid money for that, even though it's on Game Pass. It's not doing too well. It's only got like 200 players on Steam right now, which kind of sucks. You know, I wish it was doing a little better. But it's not a bad game at all. And it's not a live service. That's the thing. Kiln was never designed to be a live service as far as I can tell. It was just a developer project that they wanted to do. It seemed fun. And hopefully it is. I don't know, so far I'm having a decent time. So with the price cut, they did make changes. Specifically, future Call of Duty titles will no longer join Game Pass Ultimate on day one. They will join the tiers the following holiday after launch, about a year later. Current Call of Duty titles will remain available to the Ultimate subscription. So there was a thing that I saw, and again, the problem with companies is that they'll claim that profits that weren't made were profits that were stolen from them. So, like, if you ever listen to a company talk about piracy, they say, like, oh, we lost, you know, $200 million because of piracy. No, you dense motherfuckers. Nobody ever promised you $200 million. You just think you're owed that money. Because there is no guarantee that somebody who pirated your movie or whatever would have actually bought it. Again, it's all just lies from corporations. But I say all that to be like, there was a story that like Xbox had lost like $300 million of potential sales from Game Pass. That there were people who played Call of Duty on Game Pass that if they would have just outright bought it, Xbox would have made an additional like $300 million. Again, that's not entirely true. There's a little bit of corporate propaganda there. So again, don't take that for a word of salt. But if that's how Xbox views it, then that's how Xbox views it. And that explains why they made this decision. Of course, they say that they will keep learning and evolving Game Pass in the future to match what matters to players. Because the other thing that people started asking, well, you know, if you want to lower it down a few more dollars, there are other services in Game Pass that not everybody uses. For example, Game Pass comes with EA Play, Fortnite Crew, and Ubisoft Classics. And if you don't play Ubisoft games, if you don't play EA Play, if you're not a Fortnite guy, those services don't really actually mean that much to you. I get that. I think that makes sense. They would mean nothing to me. So if I could get an even cheaper version of Game Pass that didn't have those three things, and again, it saved me like $5, I would love that idea. So off of these talks, you know, some people started suggesting, and now allegedly, like, people like with insider knowledge have said like, oh, this is in development. I'm not gonna believe this. Is kind of like the Ocarina of Time remake, where it's like, just because people are saying it, I'm not gonna believe it until I see it, because it kind of sounds too good to be true. But someone was like, hey, what if we did Game Pass like a cable subscription service, where, you know, when you get cable, you don't just get like, oh, you know, I just want cable. You pick like packages. You know, this is the whole thing that we were fighting for internet with net neutrality. We were fighting against this, where it's like, oh, companies can charge you different prices for the services you used. So like on cable, oh yeah, you can have the standard cable package, which has like the network television, and then you can get another package that comes with like, you know, your Viacom channels and, you know, your Paramount, that is Viacom, comes with your Warner Brothers channels. Like, you can buy different tiers that come with different channels. And the idea of being able to like build your own Game Pass subscription, where it's like, okay, well, I want Game Pass, but maybe I only want, you know, the new, like, I only want like the 200 base games. I don't really care about new stuff. You can get that bundle. Or maybe it's like, okay, I want that, but I also play Fortnite, so you can get that with Fortnite, but not the Ubisoft. Or maybe you're like me, and it's like, okay, I like the Game Pass, but I specifically want the bundle that has the new games, like day-and-day launches. So you can do that, but maybe I don't want the Call of Duty. So maybe there's a bundle with the Call of Duty, and there's one without. You know, just kind of let me pick and choose my Game Pass. I know that sounds very complicated, and in the age of streaming services, I don't want things to be complicated, but also that sounds preferable to, like, you know, those like massive charts where it's like, oh, what version of the game should you buy? Should you buy the standard edition, the ultimate edition, the premium edition? And it's like all kind of bullshit. Allowing me to like build my own Game Pass bundle actually sounds rather appealing. Is that what it's going to turn out to be? Who knows? But I like the idea of it in principle. Of course, we got a few other things this week as well, because changes are being made fast, like I said. So we find out that there's allegedly Discord Nitro will include a Xbox Game Pass Starter Edition. So if you're buying Discord Nitro, you'll get a version of Game Pass that includes 50 games. So, you know, stuff like Stardew Valley, Fallout 4, Grounded. I would presume like multiplayer games. Okay, I know Fallout 4 isn't one. But, you know, just like a starter edition of Game Pass. Again, you want people on your ecosystem. They're more likely to spend money once they're on your ecosystem. So that makes sense. I don't know, it was another rumor this week. I saw some people talk about like, oh, Xbox very clearly wants to buy Discord. I don't know, they fucked up Skype. I don't think they're gonna buy Discord. Yeah, I mean, they've got more money than God, but that doesn't help them. And then finally, the final thing that happened with Xbox is that they renamed Microsoft Studios back to Xbox Studios. So back in the day, you know, they used to have Xbox Studios. And then a few years ago, they changed the name to Microsoft Studios, because, you know, Microsoft kept buying up all these games. And no, now they're going to streamline it. It's going back to Xbox Studios, which I think just makes sense. I think that's an easy, streamlined way. People associate the Xbox branding more with gaming than they do, you know, Microsoft. So I think that is a logical, makes sense sort of solution. So yeah, we'll just have to see how that plays out. But that's where we are with Xbox. So we got two bits of bite-sized news. The first one is Mina the Hollower, the follow-up game, the newest game from developers Yacht Club Studios, makers of great games like Shovel Knight, Plague of Shadows, Spectre of Hope, or Spectre of Torment, and King of Cards. Yeah, sure, those are all different games. I mean, they kind of are. Mina the Hollower, their new game has gone gold. You know, from their original Christmas release date, they've now gone gold, and so that means, what that basically means is that now they're going to submit the game to the different distributors. Steam, Nintendo, Xbox, PlayStation. And once they get approval, they'll finally be able to release it. So, my hope is that sometime within the next, like, month, I think it's probably going to be sooner than that, even. They're, you know, because they'll probably submit the game pretty immediately. And then they'll start taking pre-orders, or, you know, not pre-orders, but, you know, Kickstarter people. Basically, they'll lock down a release date. People who supported the Kickstarter, like yours truly, will be able to, you know, fill out their form saying, like, yes, give me the game on this system, and then we'll have a release date. So my hope is within the next month, we know what the release date is. But, you know, it's got to clear a bunch. It's got to clear Nintendo. It's got to clear Xbox. It's got to clear Steam. Probably got to clear Epic. You know, it's got to go through a lot of different places. So it's not something that's going to happen overnight. Some are faster than others. But that's where we are at in development. And then our second story, which broke today, is that the Steam controller also seems like it will have an imminent launch. That basically, from a leak from a video that was posted early, reviewers already have the Steam controller, and that Valve is going to start doing pre-orders soon, and the price point is $99, which I think that price point makes sense. It's expensive, but it's not like so much more expensive. I think Wario64 pointed out that it's $25 more than a PS5 controller, but I think it's only like $20 more than a Switch 2 Pro controller. Switch 2 Pro controller. The Switch 2 Pro controller is $90, so that's only $10 more expensive than the Switch 2 Pro controller. So that's, again, with the tariffs and everything, that doesn't surprise me. No. Now, of course, the Steam Machine, the Valve headset thing that I don't remember the name of, those will all come in due time. But the controller is, you know, one of those things that's probably a little easier to get out sooner rather than later. I don't know, from what I've heard from people who have already used the new Steam controller, it's actually a pretty good controller. That, like, the Steam controller is actually better than you think it is. That it seems weird. I don't know, I've never had a Steam Deck, but from what I've heard, yeah, the Steam controller works better than you think. Like, it's different, for sure, but it's better than you think, and that's good. And yeah, those are just our little bite-sized stories. I'm not getting I already have a PC controller. Sure, it uses Switch button layouts, but that has only ever been an issue really once, so what you gonna do? And that was an Xbox issue, not a Steam issue. Oh my, I'm so full. I had a burger for dinner, and oh my god, I'm just stuffed, and drinking both, you know, a soda and that water. Oh. Where did I miss one? I really like this level. You know, again, this game is so good. Shit. This game is so good, so underrated. And yeah, I like it. I like it a lot, and I want a second one. Alright, so for WIBE, we got Tomodachi Life. I'll go through it real quick. I don't have much to say on that. I've been playing it. I've been having a good time. Nothing more. Then we'll talk about Invincible. We had the Season 4 finale. And yeah, spoiler alert, I liked it. It was a good finale. We'll talk about that. And then I have a few, like, miscellaneous things. Not too much. And then we'll probably call it an... Oh, and then we'll watch the Marble League. Then we'll call it a night. Yeah, sounds good, sounds good. Ooh, shit. Alright, let's talk Tomodachi Life, shall we? So, in Tomodachi Life, Living the Dream, I don't have that... Again, I'm taking my sweet time. I personally believe that Tomodachi Life, kind of like Animal Crossing before it, is not a game that you're supposed to put like 20 hours into every day. That's a quick way to burn yourself out and just kind of see everything. But no, instead you gotta take your sweet time, enjoy it in little bites, little bite-sized chunks. And that's personally how I get the most fun out of the game. Of course, other people will disagree. Some people like, rushing through everything, getting all their villagers married and having kids ASAP. But that's not me. So, as I'm going about this... Oh my gosh. Currently, I've got around 20 villagers. I probably have a little more than that. But I'm working through my villagers. I just add like one, two a day. Game's been out a little over 14 days. So yeah, it's, slow but steady pace. I did finally have a marriage. 2 of my Mi's did get married. And I'm really happy that they did, because sure, they're not the couple I expected, but they're a cute couple nevertheless. My own Me finally got a crush. So I was going through most of it, and all my Mi's were being attracted to the same person, the one who eventually did get married. They have not had a kid yet, though. But my own Me was like, nope, I'm staying out of everything. And finally, somebody crushed on them, and then they crushed, then it became mutual, which is the only time I've had a mutual crush, is that. And then just yesterday, they were finally like, hey, I'd be interested in asking them out. They did, it worked out great, and that's kind of where I'm at. I've got 1 married couple, 3 relationships, and that's like it. So, it's not too much, but with the amount of Mi's I have, I think it makes sense. I've got a bunch of crushes. Love triangles that clearly aren't going anywheres. But it's been fun. I've been building the island bigger and bigger. I've been getting, new stuff, building my little quirks. That's been fun. I do like the little quirks. I think they just add that little bit of spice that makes the villagers all the more interesting. When it comes to Palette House, the problem is I'm not creative. I do not have an okay, I do have artistic bones. It's just that I'm not really, good at it. So I was, really struggling on what to do. And, I had added a few things. I added the enchanted big boy boxers from Dungeon Crawler Carl. I added a Pokemon in there. I had done a few small things. And then I was like, you know what? You can do a book. Why don't I just add Dungeon Crawler Carl? So I Googled a picture of the book cover. I put it into OBS, overlaid it on the screen, and then made the picture 50% transparent, and then just kind of traced it out. It worked surprisingly well. I'm not gonna act like it's a perfect picture or anything, but it worked way better than it should have. And I really like my Dungeon Crawler Carl book. I've been giving it out to people on the island, and it's spreading like the plague. I've put in a few people, I admittedly have not added any Dungeon Crawler Carl characters, but occasionally the Mi's will ask you, oh, who's a celebrity you really like? Who's a villain? Shit like that. And I've been putting in, oh yeah, a celebrity I really like? Princess Donut. A villain? Quan Chi. So I've been throwing those in, and I've had some funny results from it. Specifically one comparing Princess Donut to a dog. And it's like, that's ridiculous. That was funny. If you've read the books, it makes sense. So I like that. And yeah, I was like, okay, now do I do the second book? Do I do Carl's Doomsday Scenario? And I was going to, and then I looked up the cover and was like, oh, this is going to be way harder. Maybe another day. Maybe another day. So far, that's the only book in there. I don't know. So someone made a website. I'll pull it up right now. It's called, like, Living the Grid. So yeah, if you go to living-gozap.dev, someone made a tool where you can basically take a picture and it'll put it into a Tomodachi Life grid, and then you can just copy that over into the game, pixel by pixel. I really wish someone had made a tool like this for Animal Crossing. I know there is an Animal Crossing tool that does something similar, and that just automatically like does the pictures for you, and it creates a QR code, and it's really convenient. But this also is very nice. And I could also see this being useful in Animal Crossing. But yeah, using this tool, I've seen people make like the Cheesy Gordita Crunch combo, the Chili's Triple Dipper. I know someone made the Quesarito. Someone made a Raisin Cane's combo. Admittedly, not everyone has used this tool. Like, some people just did that shit by hand. But it's really nice to have. Like, the fact that somebody made this at all is really nice, really convenient. You know, give them their kudos. Go buy them a coffee. It's just nice. It's really... Again, Nintendo may not provide, but the community will. I kind of am surprised, though. Nintendo, why didn't you do the QR code thing? And make us go through the app to do it. You have a Nintendo Switch Online app that you have not added anything to in 4 years. Add Tomodachi Life to it. And just, because that's the whole thing with picture sharing. Like, yes, they stopped picture sharing in Tomodachi Life, but it just requires an extra step. You know, you just gotta take a picture with your phone. If you were to put everything through an app, I feel like that's enough of an extra step that it would have been like, oh, you know, your layperson is too lazy to do it. But someone with a little bit of dedication will, kind of like the phone thing. So I think it would have been fine, but that's just me. But yeah, I'm enjoying Tomodachi Life. I've seen some people talk, you know, people continue to talk about how shallow it is, and that, like, oh, there's not actually that much to do, and that it's all about being creative, and if you're not creative, you're not going to have a good time, which I think all of that might, at least in some way, shape, or form, be true, especially that last one. Like, if you're not creative, it's kind of like, you know, it's one of those games like Minecraft, where the game doesn't give you an objective. You kind of have to make one. And if that's not your style of game, you're not going to have a good time. But I get it. You know, some people are just like that. To be fair, I'm usually like that. Animal Crossing is like one of my only exceptions. Animal Crossing, Minecraft, and post-game Pokemon. Like, The Sims bores me. It just does for some reason. Oh my god. Oh, it is so hot. Oh my gosh. Oh. Anything else I gotta say on Tomodachi? Not really. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say about Tomodachi. It's just, you know, I've been having fun. I don't know how long that's gonna last. You know, I don't. But I'm hopeful. I also haven't abandoned Animal Crossing. I actually had a large turnip spike this week. Turnips were selling for like 400 pieces a pop. and I'd put like $1 million into turnips, so I made like over $3 million. I'm not rolling in the money. Like, I think I only have like 7 or 8 million, but that's still 7 or 8 million. I paid off my house, got the new house loan, and I could pay off the new house loan and still have like 5 million left. Like, I've got good money. Things are going well. Things are going well in Animal Crossing. I don't know how much longer I'm going to put into Animal Crossing, admittedly. Like, I've got a few things I'm working on, but I don't get this level at all. Like, you know, sometimes that platform drops way later, and I don't know how I'm supposed to get up there. This level's confusing me. I also may just be very tired. Alright, let's talk Invincible. So last week with Invincible, we had the end of the Viltrumite War, where they go to planet Viltrum and they destroy it. And all those people who had called Thragg a fraud were their rightful retribution as he tore off Thetis' head, disemboweled Nolan, you know, fucked up Oliver. And then on the verge of killing Mark, he decides not to. And last week when that happened, I specifically said, it'll make more sense next week. You know, I know some people view it as like, oh, it's Deus Ex Machina. He gets out of it because he's the protagonist. Because there are some people who just genuinely want Mark to die. That like, oh, if they're going to put him against all these strong threats, maybe they should just kill him and end the show. Like, I get it, but also no. So yeah, I was saying next week it makes sense, and I think, having now seen the new episode, yes, it does make sense. I do think they pay it off. So the episode starts off with Mark, and he's having this vision of Earth being destroyed. The Viltrumites show up, they go down to the surface, they cause a massive tsunami, and they just destroy the planet. They go around, they murder people, which is how I expected the episode to open. Admittedly, it's just a bunch of randos, like they're in some nondescript town, you know, it's a city, but still, they're just killing people. And eventually it's revealed that, yeah, this is Mark, you know, having this sort of vision, you know, this is his greatest nightmare come true. But they get to Earth, and nobody's there. So if you've read the comics, immediately this is a change. We'll talk about it more at the end, but immediately after the bite, they make a change. A change I do think is for the best. From there, Mark goes and he reunites with his mom, tells her everything's okay. She obviously asks about Oliver, and he's like, Oliver was injured, but we thought the Viltrumites were coming, so we rushed back. He's okay. Mark leaves to go talk to Eve, and then Nolan talks to Debbie, and Debbie's like, how dare you leave your son behind? And that's where, you know, oh, he's in the best hands. For a moment, you were, like, Debbie goes to leave, and Nolan, like, stops her, and it's like, oh, shit. Oh, no, what's going on? But no, it's fine. You know, he basically, Nolan is like, hey, I'm trying to change here. I want to do better, but, you know, you need to, you know, you need to talk to me. It's not something he's earned by any means, and, you know, he's willing to admit that. But, you know, he wants to explain. We also find out that Debbie and Paul broke up, which immediately, red flag number one. Because, okay, in the comics, oh, fuck, I see it now. There we go, oh my god. We just had to go farther ahead. Okay, that sucked. Okay, so in the comics, Debbie and Paul do break up off-panel during the Viltrumite War. Because Mark is gone for, what, 10 months? So obvious, you know, they break up. And my hope was that in the show, because, you know, they had completely changed Debbie. She's a completely different character. I was really hoping that, you know, maybe they weren't going to break up. Debbie and Paul had been having these conversations earlier in the season about how they were going to get a house together. And while it is clear that they are still friends, you know, they still work together, at the end of the day, you know, they're from two different worlds. Debbie, whether she likes it or not, gets involved in that superhero stuff, and Paul just doesn't. Two different people from two different worlds, and that clearly, you know, they had chemistry and whatnot, but at the end of the day, they wanted different things. God, this feels like me explaining a parent's divorce. But I get it. I do get it. I feel like they explain it well. Because again, they do Paul better in the show than they do in the comics. Like in the comics, he's there, but he doesn't do that much. People really like Paul in the fandom. Part of that is ironic memery, but there is clearly a genuine part of that. Like, I saw people reacting to this episode being like, but Oliver said he wanted Paul's spaghetti. Now he's never gonna get to have Paul's spaghetti ever again. And like, yeah, I get that. From there, Mark goes and he talks to Eve, and yes, they did make Eve thick. Admittedly, I'd say she's only thick and not thick with like 3 C's. She is bigger, but I feel like she was bigger in the comics, and I kind of wanted her to be bigger in the show. She looks great either way. That's the thing. Eve looks fantastic either way. And Mark's totally down for it, which isn't, you know, that's totally who Mark is. But I like, they get back together, they immediately sleep together. And Eve, you know, says she has something to tell Mark. They kind of draw it out a little bit. I know, I saw some people mad that she didn't, like, immediately tell him. It's okay that she didn't immediately tell him. She didn't have to immediately tell him. In the comics, from the moment he gets back to her telling him, it's like 2 or 3 issues. They wait a while. It's faster in the show. Like, yeah, the show is fast. You know, the show takes its time. The comics takes like twice as long. But yes, Eve eventually does admit she has an abortion. They do change the scene from the comics, but I think they change it for the best. I really like how they handled Eve's abortion. They treat it with the weight and sincerity. I've seen some people mad that, oh, they put the onus back on Mark. That she did this and, you know, oh, she's apologizing to Mark for it. When no, he's the one who also, you know, he's the one who disappeared. And Mark totally owns it, right? When he finds out, he's mad, but he's mad at himself because he feels like he's failed Eve and that he just wants to be there with her because he loves her. I know it's a superhero show written by a man. It's not going to be perfect, but it's gotten better from the comics. The comics do not handle this as well. But I still think it really works. They give it the weight, they give it the sincerity it deserves. Yes, it is a change that... They didn't change it, because that was one of the big things, was like, are they even gonna have Eve get an abortion? And, because, again, this is a comic from, like, what, 2007? So it was a question, like, is this even gonna happen? And no, it did, and I'm glad that it did. I am so confused on this level. I don't know if you can tell, but my brain is like broken right now. I have no idea where I have to get up there somehow, but I have no idea. There it is. Okay, I just could not see that box. Whatever. From there, Mark meets up with William and William's boyfriend, whose name I don't remember. I think it's like Ted or something like that. I'm surprised we don't see Amber in this episode, because we know they are all still part of a friend group. I know in the comics, Amber kind of disappears after, you know, her and Mark break up. She shows up like 2 more times, and that's it. And technically that has happened in the show, but it would have been nice to also see her and her boyfriend at the college scene. Because there's another thing in the comics. In the comics, Mark doesn't reunite with William for a while. Like, after he gets back, they make a joke about how Mark didn't come to see William. They don't do that in the show. But also, one of the things that's happening with Mark is as he's going to see the different people in his life, he keeps having these horrible visions of them being killed by Thragg. So he sees his mom killed by Thragg. He sees Eve get killed by Thragg. When they're at the college, he sees the college destroyed, and William is killed by, I think, Anissa? One of them. And I do like how William's boyfriend, whose name I don't remember, recognizes the PTSD stare in Mark. Because, yeah, they're definitely experimenting more with Mark's psychology. The comic, like, yes, he has the vision, but it's not nearly as bad as it is in the show. Because that is the thing. In the comics, Mark sees all of his loved ones die, as well as, he sees all the superheroes on Earth die. But when that happens, that all happens at, like, the very beginning of the issue. Whereas the show, they space it out. As he goes and meets each of them, he keeps having those visions. Same thing when he goes to Cecil. And, he's asking Cecil about, like, hey, you once said you had people I could talk to if I needed help. I would like to talk to those people. Because, yeah, Mark needs therapy, and I hope because that's not something that ever happens in the comics. And we live in a post-Heroes in Crisis world where everything we must do is to make up for Heroes in Crisis. Because fuck Tom King. But yeah, he sees Cecil die. I have seen some people mad at this scene because they really wanted Mark to confront Cecil and tell him to go fuck himself. That because of Cecil, Conquest lived. And they wanted that confrontation, which is not a thing that happens in the comics. After he dies, outside of Mark saying he killed Conquest, I don't think Conquest is ever mentioned again. And yes, it would have been neat, it would be nice to see Mark crash out about Conquest. But that's clearly not what the show's going for. We get a scene with Nolan and Cecil, which is also very good. Nolan's at the place where he beat up Mark, and they're like, oh, you shouldn't be here right now. Which? On the planet or this spot? And they talk about, Nolan's trying to make up his mistakes, and he's like, yeah, I almost died out there. And he's like, okay, die another 2,000 times, and then maybe we'll talk, for all the people who died in Chicago. That's good shit. Everyone has a right to be mad at Nolan. He's trying to do better, and he will, because they talk about, like, the early warning system, and how, oh, if anything happens, he'll be back there in, 2 weeks, and it's like, be faster. But eventually, Mark, after doing all this, after seeing all these crazy visions of all of his loved ones dying, he goes out to clear his head. And when he goes to clear his head, he's flying around. We get classic music while flying moment. And during the moment, he sees a vision of Thragg. Only to find out, oh wait, this isn't a vision, this is real. Thragg is here, and Thragg makes him a deal. So in the comics, this happens immediately once they get back to Earth. Mark, Nolan show back up on Earth, and immediately they make this deal. In the show, however, they space it out. They spend the entire episode waiting for the deal, and I think that's better. Because one of the other things is, in the comics, Mark and Nolan are together. And by this point, Nolan's already left. He's gone back to Teleskia, the Coalition of Planet Homeworld. And I think that's for the best. That by this point he's gone, so this just leaves Mark on his own. I mentioned at the top, right? It's important for Thragg to leave Mark alive, because it lets him make the choice. If, they have to leave Mark alive because he represents Earth to the Viltrumites, and effectively to Cecil. So if they need to make this deal, if Mark wasn't here, Cecil wouldn't have agreed to this deal. He would have fucking destroyed the planet. Maybe. I don't know, I would like to think Cecil would be more clever than that, but you never know.
Oh, yeah!
But yeah, basically, Thragg explains that all the remaining 37 Viltrumites are on Earth, and that they're going to live on Earth, live amongst the population, they will not interfere, they will not help, they will not hurt, and they will reproduce. They do. I swear, in the comics, Thragg mentioned something about how, Viltrumites live forever. So they are willing to wait centuries to rebuild the Viltrum Empire. Which is kind of, the reason why he makes the deal. Is because, all humans will die, whereas the Viltrumites will live forever. He doesn't really say that in the show. I don't think it takes away too much, but it gives the comic a little bit more reasoning as to why he would do this, is because he's patient. But I will say, though, outside of that one line, the rest of the speech is fantastically. All the rewrites they made were for the best. It's a really good speech, that Mark doesn't have a choice. Because if he says no, then they'll just, 37 Viltrumites are enough to wipe out all of humanity. And then they'll both be without a home. So while Mark originally wants to say no, he starts having all these horrible visions, seeing all of his loved ones die, then he sees Eve, and he says yes. He just didn't have a choice. Just straight up, it was never in the cards. He had to say yes. Shit. So with that, the episode ends with him saying yes. Thragg is surprised that he said yes. Like, there's a part of Thragg that wanted him to say no. But no, he says yes, and that's where the episode ends. The one thing I didn't mention is Debbie goes off to space. Her and Nolan go to space together because they're going to go see Oliver. Okay, in the comics, spoiler alert, Debbie and Nolan get back together. And because the show had basically completely changed Debbie's character, I was really, really hoping that Debbie and Nolan were not going to get back together. Because that's kind of, they've completely redone Debbie's character. Her getting back with Nolan, especially what happened back in episode 5, I think it would make no sense. But nope, that's clearly not what the comic's going for, or the show's going for. And based on that scene of them on the ship, overlooking the Earth, Nolan reaches out a hand and pulling it back, I do think they're going to get back together. Maybe not immediately, maybe not, it's not the first thing that's going to happen, but it is definitely going to happen. And that breaks my fucking heart. Because, again, I don't hate Debbie and Nolan together. It's just the show had done so much work to, for lack of a better word, rehabilitate Debbie. And the fact that this is potentially going to undo all of that. Oh my god. Oh, that sucks. I don't think it's the end of the world, but I'm really worried. I don't know, maybe she'll hook up with, somebody else. You never know. Maybe Nolan will date another bug or something. Fucking whatever. And then our post-credit scene is, Alan, now that he's, head of the coalition, whatever the title is. Now that he's in charge of the coalition, he gets a file from Thetis that tells him that he has the Scourge virus. That despite Mark and Oliver and Nolan being allies and that they wouldn't have won the war without them, Alan has to make the impossible choice and kill every Viltrumite. That the universe will only be safe once every Viltrumite is dead. And that's where the episode ends. On, will he make this choice? Yeah, we'll see. I think anything is possible. Fuck. I saw someone complain about the scene, because for Thetis, he's playing on a video screen, and while he says, his first line, after that he, covers his mouth. And I saw some people mad about that, lazy animation. Do I have to tap the fucking sign? That whole scene where they cover up from the second season, where they talk about covering up people's mouths to save on animation budget. It's such a small fucking issue. I don't know why anybody complained about that. But, the Invincible fandom is sadly very entitled. God, there are things that are going to happen in the next 2 seasons, and it's gonna fucking suck. Because the fandom is not going to be mature about it at all. Well, that's just the world we live in. Aw, fuck me, really? This level's driving me crazy. So yeah, that's where the episode ends. Overall, I do really like the season. I know some people are disappointed with this episode because it was a little bit more slow. It was slower, it was more character driven, it was more psychological, but I like that. I like the fact that they take Mark's like PTSD and layer it throughout the entire episode. That as he meets with the people he loves, he sees them all die. And then by saving the confrontation with Thragg until the end of the episode. So it's only Mark and Thragg, Nolan's not there, and he can just think about all of his visions, which again did happen in the comics. They're admittedly more bloody in the comics, which I know some people like. But no, I think the show just does it better. The changes they make, you know, decompressing things a little bit, is just for the best. And overall, yep, I really enjoyed it. I'm very impressed with it. What best season? No. Season 3 is still better. And I will still stand by the season 3 finale is one of the greatest episodes in all of TV. Not number 1, obviously, but like I would definitely put it in like top 10. But I think season 3 is the best. Below that, maybe season 2. I don't know, maybe this one. I feel like they're both very close. But this season has the Damien Darkblood episode, and the one before that wasn't that great either. So I don't think too highly of, you know, like I like this season. Ugh. Basically, episode 5 and beyond of this season has been great. It's just the stuff that came before that. Yeah, it was okay, but it wasn't perfect. Season 1 is good. I do like it, but it might also be the weakest, just because it's the first one. But it's also, again, it's got its moments. So yeah, maybe 3... Maybe 3, 2, 4, 1? Either that or 3, 4, 2, 1. Maybe. I just know 3 is at top. Now, I am very excited for next season. Because, okay, I know some people, you know, there's arcs in the comic. So we just got through the Viltrumite War. The next arc in the comics is my favorite arc. I don't know how other people feel about it, but at least for me personally, the next arc is my favorite. Is it the best thing that happens in the comics? I don't know. But I really do like it. So I'm very excited for the next season. I want them to make changes, and those changes are for the best. Anything that they do change, yes, I'm all aboard it. Let's go. My hope is, because so this season only adapted like 16 issues of the comics. Every season we seem to be adapting less and less, but I kind of hope they speed things up next season, and we basically do the next, like, I don't want to say 20 issues, but let's say the next 20 issues. That'd be nice. I don't think we'll get to issue 1, because we're currently at, like, issue 76. So we've got, like, 24 to go. I don't think we'll get to issue 100, but I can see us getting relatively close. I don't know, I kind of want to read the comic again, because I have not read the comic in a long time. Again, it's, what, 2020, maybe even earlier than that. And when I did, everything we've done so far, I remember really well. Everything that will be in the next season, I remember really well. But kind of those last, like, 44 issues, I don't have the tightest recollection on. I got some of it for sure, and there's a decent chance I remember more than I actually think I do. But I do kind of want to pick up and kind of reread those last, like, 44 issues. I don't know, it was just something I was thinking about this week. Because I did pull my Invincible books out of storage. Because, you know, I was curious about things last episode, and I think we talked about it last week. But yeah, this episode covers, like, 3 issues. And they leave out all the duplicate stuff in Immortal. Because, yeah, both the Immortal in Duplicate, as well as Amber, were not in this entire season. And yeah, I saw some people talk about that. They don't show up until the very end, and it was only for, you know, revealing Eve's abortion. Outside of that, they normally don't show up this season at all. But yeah, no, as I've seen people clown on TikTok, you know, Invincible might have competition for being the biggest fraud, because Oliver clearly likes fighting people who will just kill him. You know, people named Killer of Olivers.
Here I go.
So, what you gonna do? Alright, let's do some miscellaneous stuff. Let's beat this. We've only got, I think, what, like 2 or 3 levels left? They're gonna take a minute, obviously. But hopefully in the next, like, 10 minutes we can do all this. And we'll check out the Marble League. And I'll probably skip the credits. Probably. So, what else have I been doing? Just some miscellaneous stuff. I have not been reading. I know I mentioned last week I had started Accomplice to the Villain, the 3rd one. And I just, like halfway through the 2nd book, I just kind of stopped vibing with them. And while I do in principle want to finish it, like I'm not hating them so much that I'm like not gonna finish it. It's just taking my sweet ass time. And I was busy this week. Oh my god, was I busy this week. So yeah, I didn't even get a chance to do that. So I haven't read that. I haven't read anything this week. I played Kiln. I played just a little bit. Like, I booted it up, made a pot, did a match or 2, and that was it. I didn't have much time. I had enough time to, like, start up the game, and that was it. I just made a basic, you know, jug. It's still a fun game. I'll be honest, compared to the demo, like, I was kind of hoping there was going to be more. There's really not, but I don't think that's the end of the world. Like, I would have liked more, but again, this was an Amnesia Fortnite. A short game developed over, like, 2 weeks. And, yeah, it's fun. The pot-making stuff is still fun. There's a lot of collectibles, a lot of nice things. I do enjoy it. It's just, I don't know how much I enjoy it. Does it have reviews? Has Kiln gotten anything? I don't expect it to be doing, like, super well. But yeah, like I was saying earlier, on Steam it's not doing too well. But luckily I'm not playing it on Steam, so I'm not really worried about that. I think I mentioned last week I booted up Pokemon Champions. I played for like an hour and that was kind of it. It was an okay time. I'm just not really much of a battler. No, there's only 2 reviews right now from GameMag and IGN Spade. One gave it a 5, one gave it a 7. Currently, I'd probably say around a 7 sounds not bad. But I need to play more of it, you know, keep experimenting with it. But it's fun. You know, it's not meant to be a live service game. It's just meant to be, you know, something fun to play for a little bit. And if I have fun with it by the end of the year, I do. Oh, you know what? Speaking of small little game that's supposed to be fun, Crash Out Crew. Crash Out Crew, the new game made by Aggro Crab, developers of, you know, Going Under, Another Crab's Treasure, and Peak. Their new game got a release date of May 28th. And so I'm very excited for Crash Out Crew. It's on Steam, and then Xbox got exclusivity rights. Because, yeah, every once in a while, you know, even though I don't think of Xbox and indie games at all together, yeah, every once in a while, Xbox will buy exclusivity for an indie game. You know, Vampire Survivors, Crash Out Crew, what was the third one? Clover Pit. You know, whether they're actually buying exclusivity or it's just easier to develop on Xbox or whatnot. I don't know if it's a Game Pass thing. I admittedly do not remember if it's coming to Game Pass or not. But either way, you know, it seems like it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm surprised Peak hasn't come to consoles yet either. I'm going to guess in June. I'm gonna guess in June they're gonna announce it's coming to consoles. When, where, I don't know. It is Crash Out Crew is coming to Game Pass. Okay. But yeah, either way, it seems like a fun game. Fun little construction game. Is it Friend Slop? I don't know. I saw some people debating about that, like, should Friend Slop be a genre? It kind of already is, but I just think we need a better name. Friend Slop is not a very appealing name. We need something better. The problem is, I just don't know what that is. Because calling it a friend multiplayer game or a physics multiplayer game isn't a good name. I don't hate the name Friend Jank, you know, because what people call Friend Slop are all just inherently kind of janky games that rely on, like, weird shit happening with the physics engine. So the idea of, like, oh, they're not Friend Slop, they're Friend Jank. Like, it's better, but it's not, like, too much better. I don't know, we need a good name to replace Friend Slop. They made fucking Bing Bong and Tomodachi Life. It's cute. I just have AggroCrab's Twitter pulled up. Yeah, May 28th for Crash Out Crew. Will AggroCrab be the only studio to ever have, you know, a game of the Game of the Year list 3 times in a row? I mean, currently they're the only studio to have done it twice in a row, because Nintendo doesn't count. Like, if the EDPs did it like that, then sure. But I don't think the EDPs have ever done it either. I remember this level. I've been watching some South Park. I've just been in a South Park mood. I actually never watched all of whatever the most recent season was. You know, I think it was season 28. I watched, like, the first episode or 2, and that was it. Like, I never saw Satan give birth to the baby. And I was thinking, like, oh, maybe I should finally finish that. Nah, fuck that. Let's go watch the fucking Facebook episode. And the Dog the Bounty Hunter episode. God, those are fucking funny. The episode that introduced PC Principle, which I love. My favorite... Okay. I don't know best episode, favorite episode, all that shit. An episode that I think is one of my favorites is Breast Cancer Awareness. The breast cancer shit. Breast cancer show ever. Such a good fucking episode. Just that build up, and then the final payoff of seeing Cartman get his ass kicked. So good. Oh my god, I love that episode. But yeah, I really like the introduction of PC Principle. I feel like that one's handled really well. It's really funny with, you know, Cartman trying to frame PC Principle and then just getting the shit beat out of him. That's good. Other great episodes. Oh god, Bat Dad. With the losing streak or whatever it's called, the losing team, where they're playing Little League Baseball, and oh god, that was the moment that made Randy. Like, because I also rewatched the movie, and it's funny watching the South Park movie and being like, yeah, Butters, he's in it, but he doesn't do anything. Randy shows up in the background a few times, has a few lines, and that's about it. Randy's barely a character. Like, it's funny, because Randy was the main character of South Park. I can see some argue he still is. But to see how far we've come since then is actually kind of surprising. Yeah, South Park movie is still so funny. Oh my... Because here's the thing about South Park. You know, in shows like SpongeBob, where it's kind of pretty generally agreed upon that the first 3 or 4 seasons of SpongeBob are good, and then after the movie you get the slow, gradual decline. South Park, I would say, is the opposite. I think the first few seasons of South Park aren't actually that good. Like, yeah, they've got some good episodes, but I think even Matt and Trey will admit that the first few seasons of South Park, like, if they could redo them, they'd redo them. But I feel like from the movie onwards, they really sort of found their groove. And we've had some amazing episodes since then. So yeah, I've been really enjoying it. But that was just, you know, that was just something to put on. Anything else? And it's also nice that I can just have them on in the background. Like, I don't even really have to think about it in South Park. It's just like, oh yeah, you know, I'm writing stuff up. Let's just have South Park on in the background. I can't think of anything else. Nah, it's not been a very complicated week. Do I want to... I mean, like, what other games? I don't have any games. I don't got any... Parade of Horribles is still, like, 2.5 weeks away, or something. You know, it's at least 2 weeks away. It's in May. Shit. So I still have some time to wait until Parade of Horribles. I am excited when it happens, but we've still got a while. I know I'd mentioned last week, He Who Fights Monsters. I feel the reason why I've been seeing it a lot recently is I guess it's finally getting a physical printing, but still. I did get recommended another Disney book. I guess Disney so we previously talked about those, like, Disney books where they're like, hey, what if we, you know, reimagined the characters but, like, took away all the magic? So it's just like, hey, what if Cinderella was on The Bachelor? What if Ariel was in a girl group? You know, just very, it's not mundane, but, you know, they're kind of simplifying things, getting rid of the magic. And I think that those were fun books. Yes, I had issues with basically all of them, but I also had some good times. And I guess I was recommended on Audible. They were like, hey, you know what you should read? These, like, twisted villain books that are like, hey, what if, you know, the villains were like, what if, like, the story went in, like, an opposite direction? And I was like, oh, you know, that sounds kind of interesting. I didn't actually pick any of them up, but they were like, oh, yeah, you should check this out. What were they called? Twisted Tales? And then I looked it up, and there were like 20 of them, and I was like, ah, shit. I don't, are these, what are, I was assuming these all, like, they kind of feel like kids' books, like, I don't know. Again, I used to, as a kid, I would see those ads for, like, the Kingdom Keepers, and be like, oh, that seems interesting, and then I never actually read one of them. I don't know, it's basically Disney fan fiction, but, I mean, who am I to judge fan fiction? Yeah, who am I to judge when something like the Love Hypothesis gets to exist? Like, for fuck's sake. Oh, God, you know... Okay, here's the thing I've been thinking about doing on this show. Should I go back through Star Wars? Because here's the thing. After The Rise of Skywalker, I stopped being a Star Wars fan. Rise of Skywalker was so bad that I don't like Star Wars anymore. And I have not seen a single Star Wars. Well, to be fair, I think there's only been like one movie since then. But I have not seen a single Star Wars TV show since The Rise of Skywalker. Rise of Skywalker just killed my love for Star Wars. But I was kind of thinking, like, you know, we've got a new Star Wars movie coming out in a few weeks. Maybe I should try to get into Star Wars again. Just kind of rewatch all the movies. You know, look at some of the TV shows. People love Andor. I have heard nothing but amazing things about Andor. That it's like, yeah, that it'd be everything I'd want. But like, do I want to get back into Star Wars? So it's something I've been thinking about. Because I've never because like, if I do go see The Mandalorian and Grogu, I have only ever seen the first season of The Mandalorian. I never saw, I think, 2 or 3. I never saw the Book of Boba Fett. I know they retconned a bunch of shit at some point. But I should go do that. So I was thinking, like, maybe I become a Star Wars fan. It also kind of doesn't matter. Because if the movie was good, then I should be able to watch it without seeing the, you know, seasons 2 or 3. But, who knows. But that's what... I've actually been thinking about that basically all year. Like, should I try to get into Star Wars again? And so far my answer has been like, maybe. But now we're coming down to the wire. I mean, Star Wars Day is, what, next week? No, not next week. It's like 2 weeks. It's coming up, is what I'll say. So there's Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. I love this game. This game is so much fun. Such a good, solid puzzle game. And I really hope we're getting a second one. You know, Captain Toad had his own little mini game in the Mario Wonder DLC. And so I kind of hope they take some of that, you know, maybe do Captain Toad Wonder Explorer. And just go fully on board with that. I would love that. We're not actually done with the game, though. There is a whole bonus stage with a bunch of bonus content. Basically a DLC. There's a whole DLC. And so I think we're going to do all of that next week. We're not going to do everything. I'm not 100%ing this game. I'd basically have to replay, like, almost every level to get all the stamps. And that just... I'm good. Like, I love this game, but I've done it before. Some of those stamps are fucking bullshit. But maybe we'll start the special world and then do the bonus world. Or do the bonus world and then do the special world. What? I can't remember which is which. Because, hey, look, now they're setting up. Where's it? Come on. There it is. Odyssey. Yes-see. Because, yeah, it turns out Captain Toad is a sequel to Odyssey. Or a prequel to Odyssey. And a sequel to 3D World. But they got rid of all the 3D World levels and didn't add them back for some reason. It was kind of weird. God. Do I want to play Odyssey again? Kind of. I'm not going to worry about that now, though. Alright, let me switch over. So, we do have the qualifiers for the 2026 Marble League. Let me pull them up on YouTube real quick. Oh, there's also the friendlies. I'm not gonna watch the friendlies. Fucking sue me. I'm not gonna watch the friendlies. Alright, let me boost the audio. Okay, give me 1 second. Alright, so if I hit this, here we are, the qualifying for the Marble League 2026. So, you know, for the Marble League last year, I did do something special, you know, because I've got this model for my little guy, but then I've also got this model, the beardless model, the old one. But last year for the Marble League, I made a special model. And I gave it an update. It's admittedly not a big update. I'm a little bigger. But I gave it an update nevertheless. I think it's cute. Admittedly, it looks... I'm going to have to mess around with it a little bit. I feel like the colors are pretty muted. Let me actually... Wait, let me fix that right there. Something like that. If we go onto this, and then over here, you can see the big one. Yeah, I tried to, these are all based on real pictures, obviously. I took a picture of a real-life marble, and then, put it into the Modeling Studio, whatnot. You can barely, it looks very dark. I was struggling to get a good picture. I really was. I messed around with it for like a while. It's a very basic, it moves when it talks, that's about it. But I think it's cute. I do think it's a cute little model. Like I said, it is a real marble that I actually own. So yeah, this is our new thing for the Marble League. Again, I'll keep working on it. I literally did this all like yesterday and today. I did not put too much effort into this. I didn't have too much time to work with it, but I knew it was coming up because I didn't even know if we were going to do the qualifiers tonight. So yeah, here's the new model. And with that, let's get into the actual league itself, and let's see what's going down.
The M-Pink Theater becomes the 10th venue.
Okay, hopefully it sounds fine.
Marble League. Of course, before we can get to the proper show, we have to qualify first.
So there's going to be 4 events. Best teams qualify.
Their points, and we begin.
I'm excited.
Balancing the Midnight Wisps kick us off here. And
so,
get a marble all the way
if you've never marble leagued before, it's the Olympics. It's the Olympics, but you have some of the best marble athletes from around the world competing for the Marble League to get medals and win glory for their teams. I've been supporter only since COVID, so only like 5 or 6 years. I know some people say that makes me a LARPer. Fuck the term LARPer. It has been used so much so quickly. That term is dead now.
Come down next.
Fuck the term LARPer.
Oh, they've got 3 noses stern, and they go all the way.
Yes, I am very excited.
Really nice run. What does this give them? It's a 419.
My team is Team Galactic. Team Galactic is my team. They're the ones we're rooting for. They are not guaranteed to qualify. Sure, they're one of the better teams in the league, but that guarantees nothing. Because I don't think they made it to either 2021 or 2022. One of those 2 years they did not qualify. Green Ducks is another important. I know people who support the Green Ducks. I know people who support Team Momo. I know people.
Green Ducks got in their own way
fun.
Early on
it's supposed to be fun. And yeah, you got to root for our team and our members. I have faith.
40 on those. 299.
But yes, us here at Team Galactic, we will make it in.
Second place, halfway through.
God, I hope so.
Balancing. It is Balls of Chaos. A team that in this event, sometimes it goes well, sometimes it completely goes off the rails. This one, they do get a finisher. And a 266. Turtle Sliders.
Oh god, Turtle Sliders, worst team in the league. Yep.
They lose their marbles early
and
on.
Wow,
almost make it to the end, but came just shy of hitting.
None of that is surprising.
15,
like at all.
Marble. That's dead last of the 7 who have run so far.
Yeah, I'm really hoping we make it in this year. I don't see why we wouldn't. Sure, things were bad 2 years ago. We got our coach Celeste. I believe in our team members. Cosmo, Starry, Pulsar, Quasar, and Astron. There's been some rule changes. There is no longer a reserve in the league. Instead, it is just 5 team members and a captain. And when doing a team event, you just pick, your captain has to be there, but it can be any of the remaining members. Which I think that's a fine change. The reserve has always felt kind of weird to me.
They got bunched up right at the start. They were able to correct
like for calling it a reserve, the reserve goes up way more often than you would think.
Yes, there you see 73.
Like the reserve is more common than you think.
Solar flares.
So them, just streamlining things, I think makes sense.
We got the Blackjacks and the Wolfpack with them too. One finisher seeming to be very common so far.
Yes. I actually don't know if we're in Group A or Group B.
One more to go.
Nope, we're not in Group A.
And it's the Jungle Jumpers.
I don't think any team got 2 in a basket.
Triangle formation for a long
I could be wrong,
time.
but
Finally lost
usually, you know, I'm not going to say 2 in the basket is like standard, but that's usually on like the higher level of
things. Did make it to the end of the balance beam, but did not land in the catch
okay,
basin.
never mind. I just was spacing out during the blackjacks. Holy shit, blackjacks.
Had a marble.
Fucking wow.
One of those teams that made
I was not
make it into the catch
I must have been trying to fix something with the model or something. I was looking away. Holy shit.
But their other marbles fell off too early.
Okay, here we go. We're somewheres in this group. I know we're up against the Rangers. I think we're up against the Savage Speeders as well. I don't think they were in Group B. We're not up against the Raspberry Racers. Those were in Group A. But those are the teams that worry me.
We'll have to see how it compares.
Here we go.
Here in Group B.
Come on.
The Rangers got us started. Galactic.
Okay, we got 1 in the basket, but other than
that top side
leads
to a finish.
Yeah, 282's not.
282. That opening run, by the way, that was pretty good.
Yeah, that's
really nice
not that
number
good
for everybody to chase.
I mean, it's not like the worst I've seen, but fucking compared to that, oh my god. Holy shit, Bumblebees.
They did lose one early on. Yes, 26. That
Guess what? It's not going to matter.
But that's
They're the speeders.
Total. That also would have broken the old Marble League record prior to the 2019 number. Savage Speeders, one of those teams in the original group.
Yeah.
251, and this is an important one.
There are some that you just got to look out for. Savage Speeders, Rangers, even though Rangers fell off.
Of the very first Marble League, 2016.
And then Raspberry Racers are the other ones. And I guess, well, we don't have to worry about Cobalt here. And the main game, like, Cobalt had their redemption year last year, and now I take them seriously. They were previously a joke. They've earned to be taken seriously.
Still, it's going to take a lot to beat.
Limer's over here. L.
In the basin.
L for Limer.
Limers try to get there. They use different lines for
I still think they did better than us,
marbles,
though.
It seems like, and none of them worked.
Yep, they did better than us. We're at 288.
Fell off to the side of that catch, and they are netted 120 as a result.
Gosh, dang it.
Still not enough. Shining Swarm. They spread out really wide after they came down that ramp.
Yeah. Well, we're above them, at
much
least.
room for each other. Indigo Stars coming through now. They made their debut at the same time as the Green Ducks back in 2019.
Take me out.
Throughout these games, we'll be doing a lot of retrospectives, by the way, looking back on past Marble
So there
League,
was a whole
Marble League
thing
records,
where I guess
because it's just been
so originally when they announced this league last year and the Pinkies were hosting,
and that's a good run.
It was going to take place at the Baker Bowl.
That made it
and something happened. I don't know all the details. But now we're at the Ampink Theater, which is weird. Again, I don't know all the details.
Crazy Cat's Eyes come
I was
now.
I kept up with some things during the off season. Like I think the Cat's Eyes have a new teammate. The Cyan Eye retired, and they brought in Orange Eye. I think that sounds right.
Here come the Wolf.
But I did not keep too much track of things during the off season because I really only watched the Marble League. Like I know they did like underground marble wrestling or something. Yeah, I didn't watch it. I don't really pay attention in the off season.
9th of 11. Thunderbolts.
Well, okay, it's complicated.
Also one of the original 2016 teams. There's contact between team members, and they pay for it.
I feel like this is the marble is very sensitive.
With the finisher.
Maybe it's because it's a bigger model with more moving parts.
54-55.
But I feel like just any
way. Bumblebees.
Yeah, every little thing moves
by
it.
36 points. Or 36 centimeters,
We're in
as it were.
7th.
Chocolatiers come second.
Ew.
We stack up Group B with Crazy Cat's Eyes in third in front of the Snowballs, and the Bumblebees are beginning
does
their
the trophy
march
look different?
for that
That's the
trophy right
That's the
there.
planet.
One of the
That
most
didn't always
sought
look like
after
that, did
in
it?
all of marble sports all around the world.
Oh, who's
And
not
you
paying
help your
attention to who's
team to get
sponsoring our
there.
team? I think team sponsors
You are
was a good
sponsor.
idea.
Thank you.
You know, they
everybody.
always need money.
Did that if you want to support us in a different
And
way, check
yeah,
out
the idea of
Patreon
team
or the
sponsors is a good idea.
memberships. Lots of great exclusive
If I
deals on
had
there.
more money.
Be sure to check it out. We come now to the hurdles. This was an interesting one in the friendly round that we saw. And it tends to tighten up once we get into the actual qualifiers. Top two across the line there, Midnight Wisps and Turtle Sliders, separated by just a few hundredths of a second. Balls of Chaos and Jungle Jumpers come next. This is a timed event, by the way. Flares, Plasma, Ducks, and Momo.
So yeah, I'm assuming just everyone goes real quick in and out.
Stretching it out. Solar Flares will
Okay,
win.
the Green Ducks needed that. That's for sure.
Green Ducks hung with them one length back. 6-6-1-6. It's a good time for Ember and the captain of the Green Ducks, 6-6-3-8. Now it's Blackjacks, Raspberry Racers, Hazers, and Gliding Glaciers.
The Hazers need this. There's another team I know people support.
Raspberry Racers and the Hazers now.
That-
Hazers trying to make a
yeah,
lunge
they
of
need
it at
that.
the end, but they can't do it. Six, 6-2-8. Those times at the top are incredibly close.
It's gonna be tight.
Just 1/100th of a second
It's gonna be
separating
tight.
the
Wow.
Solar Flares from the Raspberry Racers, and another 100th of a second back to our third place finisher, the Green Ducks. Solar Flares take over the lead.
So I
In the overall
think
standings of Group A,
is
as
it the
we go
top
now to B.
12
It's the Bubble
teams
Team,
make it, so
Savage
6 from
Speeders,
each.
Chocolatiers, and the Crazy
I
Cat's Eyes
would
and
suspect
Chocolatiers.
that's how it is.
They immediately build up a gap. Crazy Cat's Eyes will come in second place. What
Now,
was
Savage,
time?
that going for the Savage Speeders. As far as I'm
Took a little
aware.
bit to get going.
Oh wow!
But wow, did they finish strong with a new Marble League
As far as
record.
I'm aware, these Savage
6-4,
Speeders have been to
6-8.
every Marble League. They're maybe the only
These are the
team
qualifiers.
that has made it to
Galactic.
every league. Because the Rangers didn't make it 2 years ago. We didn't make it a few years ago. I mean, some of the newer teams are a little different. But then again, the Wolfpack wasn't in last year. Purple Saucers aren't even coming back. The Purple Saucers are fucking dead.
At the beginning, 6-9-4-0.
Plasma, yeah, and I'm not talking about like
Might be a
Hablino and stuff like
respectable
that.
But no Marble League record.
I don't know, I'd have to look it
The
up.
Rangers, Limers.
If there's a
Shining
team,
Swarm,
what
and
teams
the
have
Thunderbolts.
never not been to the Marble League?
Good start by the Limers. Thunderbolts on the bottom lane. That's the order they'll finish.
Because
Oh,
I don't
Rangers
have
in
that.
third.
I know there are some sports fans that have like
What
that
was the
Wikipedia
time?
level of
Limers,
knowledge
healthy
of
margin
like,
up
oh,
front.
here's every
It's a
team
7-3-4-6
that has made it.
puts them
I
in
don't.
8th. This
I
was the
definitely don't.
slowest of all of our heats in
Oh, no.
Group B.
Move over a little bit.
Chocolatiers
Yeah, okay, that should be a
predictably
little
get the
better.
win. With that record, Crazy Cat's Eyes go
We
second.
made it in sixth.
And Indigo Stars third.
We're hanging on there, just
By
not
just
very
under.
high.
half of a tenth.
But yeah, I think we need to finish top 6. So we've got to get something. Iron Marble.
We want to give a shout out also, talking about retrospectives, at some of the other events that have been going on in the meantime. If
See,
you
they
have not
do
been
good
checking out
other
the channel
events. I
lately,
just
or
don't really
you've just been too
watch
busy.
them.
We've had the
Iron Marble
Collision Underleague. We
Underleague.
had the Iron Marble Tournament. And of course, Marbula 1. Don't forget that you can replicate nearly any of those.
Like I've said, I do have some of the
Skyway
the model
Chase
you're
or
looking at
Hyperloop
is based
sets.
off of
You
one
can
of
get
those.
all of your favorite marbles as a part of it, and don't forget to give us a follow online at Yella's Marbles. Here in the Javelin, it's Midnight Wisps and the Solar Flares. If you weren't with us for this in the friendly round, they're going to push the Javelins out.
okay, so it's
and
kind of
the
like block pushing, but
near end of the
with
Javelin,
less,
that
you
is
know, they
where
only
the
get that
distance
one shot
is
to hit it.
recorded. So in this case, a narrow victory past 45 down on the bottom, 46.60
Okay.
for centimeters, gives the Solar Flares
Oh, and they do 2 runs each. Okay.
the win in this one. They switch sides now and do run number 2. And let's see how that compares, and it's a better push on the bottom lane. This time Solar Flares only make it to 40. Midnight
So
Wisps
do they
go
just take
48
best
even.
overall? I would assume
T-Momo
so.
and the Gliding Glaciers now. Gliding Glaciers make impact first. but it is the shorter of the two throws. Watch the energy that is expended when those marbles get into the javelin throw point, into that little house where they transfer all of their energy, and you'll see them bounce backwards and often be careening back and forth. We actually saw some marshals fall off of the stand in the friendly round, and look at them leaping upward. Some of the marbles,
maybe should have watched the friendlies, but
really putting everything they have into it. In this case, 45-6-5 is the best throw for Team Momo. They get the win head-to-head against the Gliding Glaciers, but it's only good enough distance-wise for third overall. That was a very short throw on that bottom lane. Barely getting past 30. Blackjacks did a bit better with 43-6-5.
Yeah, it seems to be 45-ish is around the average on winner's edge. Okay, except for
tighter formation for the
Blackjacks. There you go. So yeah, I was like, everyone was kind of going around at 45-ish. And it's like, yeah, gotta go higher than that. Yeah, that's good.
61-6-0 puts the Blackjacks into first. Jungle Jumpers go 6.
Admittedly, Raspberry Racers I could also see being to every league. Is there another one?
That's a good pair of throws as well. Nearly to 50 and then nearly to 55. No, past 55 actually. Run number 2 here in Heat D. A much better formation down on that bottom lane, and it translates to distance. $55.90, a little bit better than what we saw in that $55.10, and that puts the Racers into second place. Turtle Sliders and the Green Ducks, and that's a great one from the Ducks.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Look at one of the Turtle Sliders leaping upward. Anytime that kinetic energy is going anywhere other than down the track and into the javelin, you are losing potential distance.
So I wonder what the best strategy is. To have both marbles together? I would assume the best strategy is to have both marbles together. Because in block pushing, it's usually you want 3 together and then 1 to hang back a little bit to give that extra momentum. But because, that one final push. But in this, you only get 1 hit. So I would assume keeping them both together is probably for the best.
In the final couple of heats,
because that's putting the most weight behind it.
Know what they have to do if they want to get the points.
I do wonder what this event would look like with 4 people, though.
They've got to do
That'd be
better.
Interesting to see.
Hazers and Balls of Chaos one more time. The Hazers gave it a good try. They get past 55. Balls of Chaos do not. They go into 7th. Hazer's throw is good enough for 4th. So the Green Ducks, 64-50.
Yeah.
That wins the event.
Yeah, all looks good there.
The Blackjacks and Raspberry Racers. Tally the new points totals. Where do they shake out? And the Green Ducks and Blackjacks are guaranteed to qualify.
Wow.
Nobody else locked in. Nobody else eliminated.
I'm in a far more stressful
position.
position.
With one event to go in that group. We now go to Group B. The opening throws here are going to be relative to the group themselves, so you're not comparing it to Group A. In this case, a 48. That's a pretty good throw. But will that stack up? Now that you've seen what your competitors, albeit in a different group, can do, how much do you try?
Yeah, they've definitely set a bar in the other group.
If you're not guaranteed qualification, I don't think anything less than full effort is going to do it. 52-20 from the Wolfpack. Low showing for the O'Rangers that time. Team Galactic and Crazy Cat's Eyes come out now.
Come on. Oh, we just barely. Just fucking barely.
45. Yeah, both very close together. 43-7 to a 43-4.
All right, you guys just one big hit. Get like a 60.
Do this
and then
before the second heat just to even things out and make sure that there's no variations in the lanes.
We are in
It gives
trouble.
you a chance.
We are
Regroup
in
and say,
trouble.
okay, the first throw did not go well. What can we do better in the second one? Both teams do go better.
Shit.
55-5 for Galactic.
Shit.
That cannot get by the winning throw by the Crazy Cat's Eyes.
Shit.
And the
We're in trouble.
Each get past 50.
We need to do good on the next event. Like, we need to medal in the next event. You know, top 3. Because that is something I've learned watching this over the years. That if you don't... It's like Mario Kart. If you don't get first, then nothing else matters. If you don't get top 3 in the Marble League, your points are going to plummet quick.
In that top lane all that much. Thunderbolts.
Sure, being not bottom 8 is important. But just, like, literally one medal is so important.
Not for that first
one
goal.
gold. Oh my god, it can make all the difference.
Nice one from the Stars.
We're not in a good spot here.
Oh, look at Savage Speeders. Almost came out of the gate on the left. They were almost at the same altitude as those Marshals. 60.25. That's going to be a good one. Can they better it? Can Savage Speeders better it? Well, they do get better on their throw. Not so much. On the top there. Indigo Stars, 43-40, pales in comparison, but that first throw good enough to put them into first place. Second go their competitors. Snowballs and Shining Swarm.
God, we're in so much trouble.
Shining Swarm, that's a good one.
Should
elevate them up the order as we get late in this group. Final chances. Just a couple left. Switch them up, Swarm and Snowballs. Swarm using one of their captains. Doesn't pay off in throw number 2, but it does for the Snowballs. Snowballs go third, Shining Swarm into second.
We're so fucked.
Limers and Chocolatiers to close out Group B.
We just gotta get top 6.
Not
we
a
can
bad
get
throw,
top 6, everything else will be
get
okay.
Into that 60 range if you want to challenge for the lead.
Now, luckily, the heats are separate, because if the heats were together, we'd be in a much worse place.
Down they come for the final time, and that's a
you know, the
great
two
throw
Group
on the
A and B.
top,
Group A and B were combined, we'd be bad. Like, if this was the normal, like, if this was
the
actual season...
saving the best for last for their 2 throws, and they go best overall. 62-15.
We weren't bottom, but we were still pretty fucking bad.
They win the Javelin over Indigo
Not as bad
Stars
as the O'Rangers, though.
and Shining Swarm.
God, another year without the O'Rangers. Because the only reason the O'Rangers got in last year was because of host
right
privilege.
Now, they are guaranteed to qualify. A silver and 2
there's a little bit
wins.
more freedom here. Like the other one, you know, 2 spots gone.
Want to give a shout
We've
out
only
to
got
our
one.
supporters, Born to Be Wrong. Everyone at Woodsides NYE supports Yellow's Marble Guns. They say, go Team Galactic.
Oh, no. Is this... I'm assuming this is like triathlon where we end off in the water.
Things out. It's the Wisps, Raspberry Racers, Gliding Glaciers. Off they go. Solar Flares go to the inside. They get the lead.
I was completely wrong.
Now the Wisps move around the outside. Solar Flares get it back. Down to the line. It's going to be a photo finish.
This is interesting.
We wait and see who's it going to be. Oh my gosh. I can't tell from that one. We need a finish line.
Oh, they gave it to the Flares.
Radiance.
Wow.
Ekes out the win. Wow.
I'm assuming it's time overall.
Well, as we come down through here, lots of shouldering side to side as they descend deeper into the water. It's Momo running to the line.
I think Green Ducks got third.
But
Turtle Sliders still do nothing.
Close, especially in that battle for second place. Who got it?
Yeah, I'd give it.
It's on the top
They
there.
got third.
Shouldn't need a photo finish for this one. Momo gets it. It is also a margin of 100th between the Jungle Jumpers and the Green Ducks for second place. Blackjack's Balls of Chaos, Team Plasma, and the Hazers. They descend on those switchbacks. Get your position set early on. Hazers stalled for a second, and it cost them. They fall from first back to third, now get second place behind Team Plasma. (13.62) is the good enough time for third place for the Solar Flares. The only one of the marbles in that heat to make it onto the podium. The Solar Flares win it with a time of 13.44.
Wow, are the Solar
Midnight
Flares
Wisps
once
right
again going to be
behind
the
them
only
in
orange
second.
team?
We wait
might.
for the order, and there you have it.
Wow.
Green Ducks, Solar Flares, Black.
I mean, I expected the Raspberry Racers. I expected the Turtle Sliders to fail. Team Momo failing is really surprising. Again, they won 2 years ago.
Eliminated Team Momo.
Wow.
Former champion. Eliminated. They
All right,
will
Pulsar,
not
you got
make the
this.
Marble League.
Come on.
So let that sink in for a minute. No pun intended as we get
Fuck.
into Group B's underwater race. Wolfpack have the lead, but they were pipped at the line.
We're out. All right, bye.
Originally trying to go around the outside, but then that orange-red chevron
I'm not gonna.
pushes them back in the
That's
other
it.
direction.
We're
The Bumblebees
not
have
making
to
it
go to
in.
the inside. They find an opening.
Shit.
Crazy Cat's Eyes drafts them as well, and they take
Unless everyone
second
else just
place.
gets a terrible
Rangers,
time.
Snowballs, Indigo Stars,
But no,
and
we're
the
we're
Thunderbirds.
out.
Quick to dive in. O'Rangers holding the lead. Inside line is quicker, however.
There's the Rangers really needed that.
Rangers will get it.
They really did.
Of course, we look at the times. It's not just the finishing order. It's not like in some events where it's an elimination. O'Rangers 13.58. That's good enough to put them into first place.
Here come the Savage Speeders to take it.
Final heat. Speeders, Limers, Shining Swarm, and the Chocolatiers.
Gosh dang
They
it.
emerge. Chocolatiers have the lead for now. Limers, great line to take over second place, but now they get moved to the outside. They're in last. Running down to the line, it's Chocolatiers and the Speeders.
Yeah.
Who got it? It was the Savage Speeders.
Wow.
By just
That was
under
so fucking close.
0.03 of a second, but that time is not good enough to challenge for the
I mean, the
podium.
Chocolatiers made it in regardless.
Savage Speeders only come in fifth.
God.
The Rangers get the win over the Bumblebees and Crazy Cat's Eyes.
Fuck.
What will this do to the order? There you have it. Chocolatiers.
Oh, and the
Crazy
Rangers
Cat's
didn't make it in
Eyes,
either.
Bumblebees, Indigo
Wow,
Stars,
even getting first and
Snowballs
last.
the Savage Speeders
They got a
make
1
it.
and a 0.
The old Rangers do not.
Wow.
After hosting last year, the O-Rangers.
The only reason
are
the O-Rangers made it in
eliminated
last year is
and
because they
will
were
not compete in
hosts.
the Marble League.
Wow.
In this 10th edition of
All right, let's see our teams.
competition in all of Marble Sports.
Obviously, the top 4
make it for
were
the first time since
auto-qualified.
2021. There are all of your teams.
what was
Since
that?
2020 in all. In this
Oh, here.
10th edition of the top competition in all of Marble Sports, Indigo Stars make it for the first time since 2021.
Wow.
There are all of your teams. Next up, the opening ceremony.
All right, so we'll be back next week with that. Who am I going to root for? So, in the past, traditionally, when Team Galactic didn't make it, and again, 2021, 2022, I don't remember which year, I rooted for the Raspberry Racers. Because I feel like, listen, I'm not betraying my team. Team Galactic till we die. However, I still want to root for somebody to make things fun. You know, you gotta keep it fun. Find your own fun where you can. So I will probably be rooting for the Raspberry Racers. Like, for example, you know, for my model, I use a Team Galactic marble. I'm not getting rid of the Team Galactic marble. We're Team Galactic till we die, regardless of if we're in it or not. However, it's either going to be the Raspberry Racers, or do I root for the other team, Team Plasma? Because again, they're the other team, and unlike, say, the Purple Rockets or the Indigo Stars, which I hate, because they're the worst space teams, I don't actually bear a grudge against Team Plasma. And then the Hazers made it in, which I think is the first time in a while. Bumblebees, Crazy Cat's Eyes. I also hate the Solar Flares, because they're another space team. Green Ducks, yeah. And the top, and we'll see if can the Cobalts continue to pull it off. You know, last year was their redemption. And will that keep up, or are they all going to fall apart like we did? Fuck. And, you know, we were doing, you know, it's funny, because we barely got into the league in 24. And then at the very end of 24, we were, like, starting to pick ourselves up again. 25 was not great, but I still think we finished, like, 7th overall, which is in the top half, you know, the top echelon. And now, we didn't even make it this year. Fuck. But yeah, we'll be back, of course, we'll be back next week. We'll continue watching, at least that's the plan, you know, we'll check out balancing. But I also do highly recommend you watch this on your own. As always, links will be in the description below. Go show your support. Go check them out on Patreon. Buy some marbles. It's worth it. Trust me, it's worth it. But with that, I guess that takes us to our outro. Yeah. Let's just change it back. So what's coming up here in the future? Next week we will be back. I don't know what we're doing next week. I have no plans at the moment, but I'm sure something will happen. The rumor is, I know last week I mentioned, like, hey, you know, maybe Nintendo should reveal that Star Fox game. And instead they did Splatoon Raiders, which is a pretty good consolation. But the rumor is that if that Star Fox game is real, the reason they've been waiting to announce it is because the Mario movie actually hadn't come out in Japan until, like, yesterday. So they were waiting for the Mario movie to come out in Japan. And now that it's out in Japan, they're finally going to talk about it. So that's the hope, is that, you know, Mario movie is out, they're going to talk about it, and we're going to get all that information. Because we're not getting a Nintendo Direct. I've seen some people posit, you know, especially with the announcements this week, that Nintendo Today killed the Nintendo Direct. And I'm not going to agree with that. But I'm also not going to agree with that. Because I do think that back in the day, Nintendo would, you know, they'd have a few small announcements. So they would just do a Nintendo Direct. But nowadays, if they only have, like, a few small announcements, Rhythm Heaven, Yoshi, Splatoon Raiders, Star Fox, like, nothing in there is that big. So they just don't see a point in doing a Direct. Save your big Directs for June and September, when you have big games. If you've got a big game in January or February, sure, talk about it. But if they don't, then I don't see a reason to do it. So yes, it has kind of killed Nintendo Directs, but I still think for the big Directs, we're still going to get Nintendo Directs. I mean, Nintendo Today has existed for well over a year now, so I'm not really that worried. But that's what we're going to end off for tonight. I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Till next time, peace.